Our forefathers fought for liberty, individual freedom, self-expression, and the right to self-determination. They created a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, establishing a nation of free individuals who ignited a bright beacon of hope. America is a land where any person, from any background, can succeed, so long as they endeavor forthright with determination in their heart. A melting pot, the greatest hits album of the human race. We gather here today to renew that sacred bond, that oath to freedom. Welcome to the Marketplace of Ideas.
Good evening, and welcome to the show that tomfoolery predicts will be off the internet within a year's time. It's the Marketplace of Ideas. I'm your host, Kyle Smith, and with me, as always, is a man who's trying to infect this liberal bastion with his own particularly cringe brand of communism, James Vagabond.
That's right, Kyle. I'm James Vagabond, and I am a damn dirty communist. However, it seems I'm not the damnedest nor the dirtiest, which is why I've prepared the following statement. Before we get started into the meat of this conversation, it is pertinent for me, as an avowed communist, to clarify my place in all of this. Let me be clear, I am not now, nor have I ever been, a member of the DSA party. But more importantly, I've always been an enthusiastic and staunch supporter of the Democratic Party, perhaps even especially when in dialogue with the far left. For almost a century now, since Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Democratic Party has been the premier party for based, freedom-enjoying patriots. The New Deal represents the modern recognition that we as a society supremely benefit from proactively affirming our shared humanity and providing the means and protections by which we are truly able to not only pursue but actually attain happiness. We were the party that witnessed the economic devastation of the Great Depression, witnessed a society of hard-working men and women standing in breadlines, or broken from industrial labor, of the elderly languishing under the weight of inflation, worked to the bone until the day they died. We witnessed that and said we can and must do better, and struck a grand new deal in society on behalf of we the people. Then, when America was finally ready, the Democratic Party threw off the residual chains of slavery, banishing the Jim Crow apartheid state, enshrining and protecting once and for all the rights of all races to equally partake in the fruits of liberty. That is the foundation, and those are the values upon which our Democratic Party stand, and it is those values we must each represent in order to regain the trust of the people. And with that, welcome once again to the Marketplace of Ideas, the show that brings good faith and good fun to political debate and cultural discussion. The show some have called the sloppy thirds of online political culture, and frankly, I think that's fair. We here at the Marketplace of Ideas strive to steal the very best ideas from this corner of the internet and pass them off as our own. And here today with us are some of the distinguished pundits whose ideas we've been stealing. Returning once again, against his better judgment, we have champion of liberalism and free speech, Whick of Whick TV. Welcome, Whick. Please introduce yourself to the world.
I'm Whick from Whick TV, champion of liberalism and free speech.
Correct. And joining us for the first time, we have Mr. Mouton, a gamer bro turned protector of democracy. Tell those who don't know you a little bit about yourself, please.
I'm a guy who's getting into politics, and I do a morning show every morning at 7 a.m.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
And also, for the first time, one of the few more rational, further left progressive who I've gained a lot of respect for, Jolah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Jolah Politics, I spend my time mostly on Instagram and TikTok nowadays, critiquing MAGA and also critiquing pragmatism on the far left and also the deep center of the Democratic Party.
You're like a
Thank you for
centrist
having
then,
me.
huh?
Oh, I'm the perfect centrist. Hell yeah.
Alrighty. Well, with that, now that we have our guests introduced, I think it's time that we play our game that we like to play at the start of the show to get the good faith juices flowing. A little game that we call Strawman Steelman.
Strawman.
Steelman. So much like the game sounds, this is the game where we give you a straw man argument that is a poorly constructed argument built to be knocked over. And these arguments are going to be targeted to what we expect you to not agree with. And so you're going to be tasked, if you would be so kind, as to steelman these arguments and make them as strong as you can possibly make them in spite of your disagreement with the argument. Afterwards, you will have the opportunity to say what you actually believe. With that, I'd like to continue our tradition of welcoming our guests to the halls of the heroes of debate. And in honor of this theme, we will be showing them pictured in the middle of making what I'm sure at the time was a very salient point, whatever they were talking about. On my right, we've got Mr. Whick here. And then on my left, for the first time, we have Jolah Politics and Mr. Mouton. Whick,
There's a fourth empty box there. What happened there? We were going to have Mr. Dylan Burns on, but unfortunately the DSA used their most powerful wizards to summon a storm to keep him from coming on, which I would think is a tactical error because I think he was going to at least speak somewhat positively for the far left joining in the democratic discussion. So once again, a tactical error from the DSA. So
well, you love to see it. So
he may try and join us, but he's worried about his connection, so he might join us at some point.
With that, however, Whick, if you wouldn't mind starting us off and reading your scroll of the straw man, if you please.
Let me make it big so I can see it.
Hell yeah.
MAGA poses a cataclysmic threat to our nation, so we need the broadest coalition possible, even if that means welcoming the socialists, commies, and even Nazi oyster farmers into the party.
Well, Whick, my expectation is that this is, I think so personally. I think that it's, but I would expect that you might have some disagreement. In spite of that disagreement with that stance, though, can you find the legitimacy within this stance?
Sure. MAGA is such an existential threat to our country that we do have to accept help from corners and ally ourselves with corners we would otherwise, in better conditions, be adverse to working with. We need to do it, however, because if we don't, we will not survive. Democracy will not survive, and nothing we do in the future will matter because we will lose today. And the long term does not matter if the short term, if you die in the short term. So that's my Steelman.
Yeah, well said. But what do you actually believe?
I actually believe that one of the surest way that MAGA is a cataclysmic threat, but one of the surest ways to ensure that it still has pull in American politics for decades to come is by lowering our standards, by disregarding the threat of the far left, and by deciding that we are willing to do whatever it takes to win. By lowering our integrity, we make it so low information voters have a harder time distinguishing between the right and the left, and therefore it's going to make it harder to win in the future. So,
yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that's a stance a lot of people can see the legitimacy of. We don't want to associate with Nazis if we don't have to, and it would seem that we may not. But we'll get into things a little bit more later. For now, I'd like to move on. Jolah, if you could please read from your scroll.
The DSA is poised to swallow the Democratic Party. Oh yeah, whole. Oh yeah, and we'll be stuck voting for Hassan Piker for president by 2028.
All right. Find the legitimacy to that claim if you can, Jolah.
The Democratic Party is going to be overcome by the DSA like it's a growing cancer, and we're going to be hoodwinked by the same radical forces that MAGA did. That's essentially the big argument.
Sure.
Terrifying, yeah.
Now, what do you find any legitimacy to that claim? My expectation is that you might disagree with it.
No, unlike some liberals, I'm very confident in the Democratic Party and liberalism. I think that progressive liberals and center liberals can power through the DSA wave. And we need more liberals to critique the Democratic Party because, I mean, the party where the DSA did win, it could have been very easy for that to not happen. So like Zohran Mamdani, that is what started this entire thing, right? When it comes to all these other candidates elected in New York City, if the Democrats did not support Andrew Cuomo, if there were not thousands of staffers to come out for Andrew Cuomo, and they supported another option that was still progressive, like a Brad Lander, maybe we never get Mamdani. And even with Andrew Cuomo being such a crappy candidate, it was still a pretty close race.
All right. Well said. Then we will move on. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Mouton, if you wouldn't mind reading from your scroll.
It would be better to have Stalin, Mao, or the dreaded Francesca Hong in my political position. Sorry, in any political position over a MAGA candidate, even at the state level.
So, Mr. Mouton, are you able to find any legitimacy to this stance?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically just saying, like, it would be better for somebody aligned with the Democrats, like Francesca Hong, to be in the position of power over a MAGA candidate because the MAGA candidates might do something absolutely crazy, like we've seen time and time again.
Yeah, it is precedented. But what's your actual stance on this issue?
My actual stance is Francesca Hong will have to earn my vote. It's still the primary, so you can say anything you want about her as long as it's not like super crazy. But also, I think that she would be detrimental to the Democratic Party. I think that the DSA is a pretty big threat to the Democratic Party, and they're not here to be allies. They're here to subvert and stab us in the back.
All right. Well, I think that was nice and concise. We will go ahead and end this segment. It was a great round of Strawman, Steelman to get us started. Before we jump all the way into the conversation, I would also like to officially welcome our guests to the actual marketplace of the marketplace of ideas. And when I say actual marketplace, I do mean fake marketplace. It is not a real one. We do not actually have any gambling, but we do have a fake stock list where we have the creators who come on our show. And as you can see at the bottom, we've got Jolah Politics, Mr. Mouton, and Whick TV all waiting for someone to scoop up some fake shares with the fake currency that we run our Discord server with, we call Griftcoin. So if you want to join our Discord and participate in that and show your support for the creators that you like the most, that is one way you can do so. If you'd like to support our channel, please consider visiting our YouTube channel and giving us a like and subscribe on this video before you go back to the streamer of your choice with whom you are currently
We are
watching.
new to the game, but we are growing and learning, and much like the DSA, we're going to swallow the discourse whole.
Brilliant.
Yeah, real good at swallowing here.
With that said, discourse. We do indeed have a long-going discussion amongst the left as of late on the internet in regards to the DSA's pull and influence within the Democratic Party. And with the three of us, I don't want to preempt your opening statements too much, but my understanding is that we all collectively recognize some negative qualities of the DSA that we should be aware of. So since we seem to have that common ground, as you give your opening statements, I'd like to pose a few questions towards you. One, is the DSA more dangerous than MAGA? Two, if you're not concerned about the DSA, is it because you think that they don't have the strength and capability of taking over the Democratic Party in the same way that MAGA did the Republicans? And three, where are your lines when it comes to voting for DSA candidates? With that, Whick, if you wouldn't mind starting us off, please let us know your thoughts.
Sure. I oppose the DSA for the same fundamental reason I oppose MAGA, because I'm a liberal, and liberalism requires limits on political power, even when the people wielding that power claim to be fighting for something good. The DSA, socialism, etc., treats institutions, courts, the civil service, the press, and political opposition as obstacles to be brought under control when they interfere with their movement. Okay. MAGA comes from a different ideological tradition, but too often reaches the same conclusions. Liberal institutions are impediments to transformative politics. Capitalism, right, is not merely something to regulate, but something to overcome. and existing constitutional restraints, such as the Senate, are treated as barriers to real democracy, quote unquote. And I reject both of MAGA's framing of this, and I reject the socialist framing of this. I don't want a right-wing government powerful enough to impose its vision of America on anyone else, and I don't want a socialist government powerful enough to impose its vision either. I think people are taking DSA as a threat not as seriously as they should. Not to say that we're going to snap our fingers and wake up tomorrow in their socialist utopia hellhole thing, right? Where they've subverted the Democratic Party. But the hour is later than you think. They already have a lot of influence in media, academia, and with staffers, the staffer class, right, in politics. And it's a real problem, and we need to wake up and just take a stand. Just draw some lines. Don't be one of these weirdos who says, yeah, I would vote for Mao over Trump. No, you wouldn't, and you shouldn't. Don't vote for the mass murderer killing person, right? Don't vote for the rapist. Don't vote for the person who wants to abolish the Senate and the police. You can not give them your vote. You have free will. Make that choice. Anyway, yep. That's me.
Beautiful. Much appreciated, Whick. Thank you so much for being here once again with us. Jolah, would you mind giving us your opening statement on the matter?
So I don't think DSA is as dangerous for a couple of reasons. So number one, it is their lack of ability to get power, but also who the DSA really is. Now, MAGA is made up of radical, 50-plus-year-olds, maybe between the ages of 45 and 70 around, the generation that was lead poisoned the most. They are very stuck in their ways. They are going to be like that forever. These are the people that supported George Bush when he was saying crazy shit like, it's a holy conquest for us to go into Iraq. These people are not going to ever change. But the young people, I know people who were probably DSA adjacent when they were in their 18s, 20s, 30s, especially during, who are older now, especially during Vietnam protests, who very quickly, and they were radical hippies and whatever, who very quickly voted as just normal liberals as they got older. The DSA is a bunch of kids, and there are very deep issues on just the social environment around the DSA and the Democratic Party in organizing circles that make it really easy to get young people attracted to the DSA, which is something we can go into at a different time in the conversation. And also, their ability to get power. America, they conflict with everything that has ever been America. So I really don't think they can ride with the culture. Republicans can have the majority white Christian football culture, and the DSA can barely even talk about Thanksgiving. So.
Okay. Well, much appreciated. Thank you so much for that, Jolah. And Mr. Mouton, if you would be so kind, give us your opening statement as well.
My opening's going to be pretty short and sweet. The DSA have wacky policies. It's voted on. They have a national committee every 2 years or 4 years. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is. And that's what these people want. They want to abolish the police. They want to get rid of the Senate. They want to have open borders. So why should we not be scared of them? They're telling you exactly what they want to do. I don't understand people who are like, oh, well, they won't be able to do it, blah, blah, blah. These people are at a crucial point where you kind of need to kill the baby in the crib, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay.
So a couple marks of disagreement there, but hopefully it will be a better discussion for it. With that, we'll open up the discussion.
Yeah, I guess I just don't like this idea that many on the left have decided, because MAGA is the enemy and MAGA is very, very bad, and it is the enemy and it is very, very bad, that they're giving a blank check to people who oppose MAGA, right? They will literally vote for anyone who opposes MAGA, no matter how bad, no matter how much long-term damage they want to do. And I understand, right? A lot of people are trying to kind of minimize the damage that the DSA could do if they were to gain power, by saying things like, well, as Mouton said, right? They just won't have enough power to implement the policies that they actually want. Yeah, but you wouldn't vote for someone who's like, my policy position is I'm going to kill you. But don't worry, I don't have the votes right now to do that, right? You never vote for someone like that because in the off chance something happens and they would get that power, you know what they're going to do. Just don't do it. I don't understand. And this is to you, Jolah. I see you running cover all the time for these people, right? Like this soft cover of don't worry about them. They're not that bad. They're all just a bunch of kids. And we need to have a discussion of how much they've already infiltrated these spaces, right? It's really bad.
My issue largely is that I don't see people like you, Whick, criticizing the Democratic Party. I know we've had this discussion before, but if you go to a local Democratic Party like Democratic Committee or whatever, Democratic Committee, I don't want to give away, blow my cover, Democrat Committee, but it's going to be a bunch of 45 plus year olds. It's going to be maybe the average age might be 60, 70, 80. So there are people literally in cities who are from more affluent, white backgrounds or whatever backgrounds where they can afford to pay dues, or they just go to the meetings for fun because their friends go. And it's the only place where there's organizing happening where it's going to be younger people. Now, Democrats can either say the DSA is a cancer and all this crazy stuff about it, or they can try to compete with DSA where they are very effective. And my question is largely, and I wish we had someone involved in like direct DSA. I don't know much about what DSA does to know if there's anything they do in particular that can replicate that. If that's just going to be where all the college age people go naturally, if many of them do that, yeah, it's really difficult to find that balance. I feel like we can defeat the DSA rather easily. I genuinely, and I know people say I'm a secret DSA agent. I think people saying that about me is honestly part of the brain rot, the Hassan derangement syndrome happening online. If you think I'm not going to be your ally in your movement, then you're gonna fall into obscurity.
Why shouldn't the DSA members run as their own party? Why shouldn't they just run under the DSA?
They can. Yeah, they should. Well, my big thing too, as well with like Francesca Hong, who are you, if you're going to say we're against MAGA, who are you to say Wisconsin Democratic primary voters are wrong? Who are you to say that Maine Democratic primary voters are wrong when they want a more populist candidate? Are you saying that the will of the Democratic voters of Maine and Wisconsin just don't matter now because they supported a DSA candidate?
It's not that they don't matter. It's that I have issues with the voting populace if they elect someone who is bad for democracy. I have issues with the voting populace who elected Trump, right?
Okay, if you don't like the voters, you can say that.
Are you just against the will of the people now because you oppose Trump? Because Trump got the popular vote, you should be okay with the will of the people? No. What is this argument? Sorry.
Well, he did become president, and Trump should have became president because people did vote for him. I would prefer they don't do that. But we're talking about our fellow Democrats, our fellow No Kings protesters. If they look in Wisconsin, for example,
Plattner or Hong, you're not my fellow Democrat.
In Hong, for the Hong case, there's like 10 other candidates in the race. The one that was competing with Hong had some type of like financial disclosure issues because a dumb intern like double or triple reported every donation they were getting. They were saying there were ad expenditures that were not even real. So she had to drop out. And the person who they have running against Hong now, he said that he joined back into the race after he failed his campaign because he got a message from God in the form of a red bird that his wife saw. And because she saw this red bird, he knew it was his time to run, and he's campaigning going around saying, "Hey guys, we can't really do anything." I'll be honest. I mean,
it's less crazy than abolishing police. I've seen some of Crowley, the gentleman who is the direct competitor with Hong now. I've seen some of his takes. He has good, solid, one of the best takes on data centers that I have seen. Right? Everyone, all these sloppulists now are like, we need a moratorium on data centers. This guy Crowley comes out and he's like, well, no moratorium. We could regulate them and maybe address some of the issues with the environmental effects that people have concerns with, but we should be building data centers. Like, data centers have revitalized the communities that they've built in. And being anti-data center is a lot like being anti-nuclear in today's vernacular. It's going to make us poorer, weaker, and less able to compete in the real world.
Yeah,
Crowley is a good candidate. Crowley is the union candidate. Crowley is someone we should be supporting. Hong is a crazy person.
We're talking about politics. But we're talking about politics here. You can say F the voters, screw the voters. Okay, you can keep on saying screw the voters, we hate the voters. But politically, we need political influence to stop the rise of sloppulism and MAGA. So if you want to say the Democratic voters are dumb, then I don't know what I can tell you at that point.
Mr. DSA, what were you saying?
Sorry. No, I don't remember. I was just gonna say the DSA members are the sloppulists.
Okay, then beat them. Why are Democratic candidates
We
in
are.
Wisconsin
So
not
there's
beating
two.
Hong?
Well,
Why
they
is she
are.
winning?
So
Why do you
they
think?
are. Two things can be true. One, Democrats can be running bad candidates, and the DSA can be bad. That's what's happening here in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
The Democrats seem to not be running good candidates. It seems like Hong is probably going to win, and sadly, the Democrats are probably going to lose Wisconsin over it.
Yeah, and I think that's a tragedy that the moderate wing of the party could not find anybody to run. That's a good candidate.
Why? Oh, this wild, and you've done this a lot. Every time something happens that is bad, it's always the establishment's fault, right?
I said nothing about the establishment. I said they are losing.
Establishment's fault, right?
I said they are losing
Hong
to DSA.
doing well,
that is correct,
it's
right?
Establishment's fault. Sometimes it's okay to acknowledge that there are bad actors on the other side who are capable of being of having agency, and their agency is lying to the public and pushing bad candidates that convince the voting class, right?
Hong's not a good liar, man. She's not a good liar. She's really bad at it, to be honest. She can't answer a question about Thanksgiving. She's like, I love Thanksgiving because I'm a cook, and I'm going to use that to bring people around the table. She's a terrible candidate. My question again is, why are there no moderate and by the way, the polls can be off by 25 points, and I will be happy, to be honest. I don't want Hong to run. I think she's a disaster. But my question again is, why can we not have any accountability for Democrats who are losing to these types of candidates? Like, we have to have some.
What do you mean, no accountability? I mean, I think we are having accountability. They're going to lose. That's the accountability.
Yeah, but from liberal commentators like myself, for example, I cannot stand what's her name, Cori Bush. She lost by like 50 points to her opponent, Wesley Bell, and then called him a Republican. I'm extremely critical of her. She lost by 50 points, and she called him a Republican, which is not true.
Yeah, that's bad.
Now, yeah, that's really bad. But why is there no heat? I don't see any coverage from center commentators about the primaries on who is going to be the up and coming candidate, or why are we putting forward these terrible candidates like a Janet Mills? Why was Mandela Barnes not supported from the start?
Why
was Brad Lander not supported? Why was Mallory McMorrow not supported? We had Mallory McMorrow right there. She was above. She was by far the favorite for Michigan, Mallory McMorrow. And guess what happened? All the progressive money went to El Sayed, and then all the establishment money went to Haley Stevens. That's why McMorrow ended up tanking. She was by far the favorite. If the establishment would have went for the compromise and went for McMorrow, she probably would have won. Quick.
The reason McMorrow ended up tanking is she tried to thread the needle, and she ended up being lukewarm. She was neither hot nor cold, so the voters spit her out of their mouth, right? She decided to play a balance where she appeased the establishment, but also went to the progressive side and played with those voters, and no one bought it. If you were an established someone who liked the establishment, who liked the old school Democrats, you went with Stevens. And if you were someone who was more progressive leaning, you went towards the more progressive candidate which was El Sayed. Yeah. So that's why she lost, right? Like this idea that Stevens was a bad candidate, all the fundamentals were against her, and she lost by less than a percentage point, right? Like, you had the entire left wing come out canvassing for her, come out promoting her, come out really pushing her,
lie about her.
All the fundamentals were against her. She had every single. She had Whitmer. She had Carville coming in. She had
pushing El Sayed in his primary and things like that. You have a populist wave where the establishment is seen as really bad in the Michigan area, and he still wasn't able to put up more than a percentage. Not even a percentage point of a victory. Like, Stevens was a great candidate. Stevens was strong.
If you want to hear me critique Democrats, I can do that. I think it's really stupid that Dems are running like 10 candidates or 2 candidates even against DSA members. It obviously splits our votes. McMorrow should have dropped earlier, and it seems like Michigan needs to actually go and fix how they do when you can drop out, because what I think I read, I think the time that she should have dropped out by in order not to be on the ballot was like sometime in like, I think it was April. So yeah, if we're going to have candidates, we need to come together as like a party and do it earlier rather than later.
Yeah, for Haley Stevens in Michigan, I don't even have it pulled up right now, but she had every single big endorsement in Michigan. She had the outgoing the senator that is leaving endorse her. She had Governor Whitmer endorse. Yeah, Peters. She had Whitmer endorse her. She had James Carville come in, who's very influential with Black voters as well, and she did win a majority of Black voters. And every Michigan, it was actually a meme during the primary from like centrists that El Sayed has all the endorsement from other states. I think. Stevens even said that he has the coastal elites coming in to endorse him. So when Whick says that she had all the fundamentals against her, I just don't agree. She had that. She had all the local endorsements that should be more influential in Michigan, not someone coming in from the outside. I think the final numbers from New York Times were either 10-1 or 9-1 outside spending. That extra $60 million definitely can't hurt. If she did not get that money, if she did not get the extra $60 million, Abdul probably does win by 5 or 10 points.
I think what Whick means right now is like the establishment isn't a popular thing. Nobody likes what's going on. So when you're an outside candidate and you're coming in and you're fighting against the establishment, you kind of have like the wind at your sails right now.
You have all the new media loves you if you are this, right? All the podcast bros, all the Twitter folks, and people act like influencers for whatever reason. And we're going to talk about the Mitch voter guy too tonight, I think. For whatever reason, people online have decided that online influencers have no influence, that the media has no influence. And they've decided to pretend this when that's just not true, right? You had new media, you had this Mitch voter guy make up a lie, right? Make up a lie about Stevens' internal pollster calling someone up and calling Stevens up and saying, hey, you have no path to victory. And he pushed this lie, and a lot of people, big names, Hassan, Keith Edwards, Wahajat Ali, and a bunch of others picked this narrative and ran with it. And did it affect turnout? I have no idea, but they were trying to do that. They were attempting to do that. You have new media just willing to lie about you. And I guarantee that these kinds of, like, people think that money in politics has a huge effect. I don't know if it does. We looked at the 2020 primary campaigns, right? $1 billion were spent to get Bloomberg to be our nominee. One with a B, right? $1 billion. $1 billion. He didn't even get anywhere close. People overstate money in politics. They just do. The biggest threat to our political system isn't money. It's the staffers. And we see this how they're acting. Like, this is the threat that the DSA and other actors on the far left really pose, is they have positions of influence and power within the media and within organization groups and within the party. And they are pushing these candidates on us that are making it harder for us to beat MAGA. Look at when Al Sayed won the primary. We took a lean Democratic state and it became a toss-up. It's now objectively harder to win.
Also,
in a
if
blue
money
wave,
just won the election, then Tom Steyer would be at least one of the 2 governor nominees.
Are you saying money has zero impact?
That's more recent.
No one's saying money has zero impact. We're not retarded. Of course.
Okay, then if money has any impact, then if both candidates had the same amount of money spent, then El Sayed probably wins by more than he did, right? If it has some impact.
I don't know.
Okay, so money has no impact, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
if it has any impact,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
You have to have a base level of it, but it has can we at least acknowledge it has diminishing returns?
Yeah, I mean, if you have 18 ads of the same person back to back to back to back, especially like I criticized Kamala Harris, she was airing these dumb commercials in the middle of college football games. That's not going to help very much, but it does help with overall media saturation.
What do you mean it's not going to help airing a commercial during a college football game?
Having Kamala Harris come out in the middle of an NCAA game when everybody's in the bar drinking or whatever, no one's watching that commercial. I've been at these places.
Completely wrong.
You think people are staring at the TV and watching Kamala Harris ads on, all the dude bros at the bar?
I think older people, the people who actually go and vote, are watching the ads. Yeah.
Well, I think it works on normal people too. Mountain Dew and Pepsi spend, billions of dollars for a reason. And we all like to think that we're immune to the wiles of a Mountain Dew commercial, but there's a reason they spend billions of dollars.
Okay.
I would also like to say that I think Whick was really spot on here in that the new media landscape, in my opinion, is the biggest piece that people are missing in all of this, which is, you know, the ability of, and it kind of ties to money in a certain case, where each person, all of the people fighting for attention and relevance and therefore some amount of power and money are, they're not necessarily doing it for forthright reasons. They're not doing it necessarily because they purely believe in some political ideology. Instead, it's something more of an attention economy, where the most bombastic, or in the case of like the DSA and the political landscape, people promise the moon and they don't have to deliver anything. And so they get to use this sort of rocket fuel in the social media landscape to get attention. And we've seen it in MAGA. Once they actually get the reins of power, they can't deliver on anything. And to me, that is where I focus my thoughts on all of this conversation, is the new media landscape and the way that it is taking control of society and all these big decisions we're making.
If I may,
I will say,
Please.
just really quick on the new media point, because I know you're going to talk about that, but Haley Stevens did have probably the biggest new media clip of the primary with her TMZ interview when she went off script and they did not want her to do it, but she was her genuine self. If she would have done that more often, instead of talking about Abdul Sayed's podcast over and over and over again, and I'm endorsed by Barack Obama, like over and over again in the debate versus Abdul, she probably would have won. She would have won this primary. And you have to ask why the consultants are telling her to talk like that.
She didn't.
You talk about her endorsements constantly. If you look at the exit polls,
well, you just said that
she said she was endorsed by Barack Obama.
I don't think
she
ever
said that. She never
she
said
gave
that.
the impression that she was in the flyer she put out, and you could see her talking to black voters. There's a clip of her walking around to everybody saying, "I was proud to work with Barack Obama." She's obviously laundering his name and using it for that purpose.
You realize
she did
that
not
she
say,
was
"I have an
endorsed by
official
Barack
endorsement."
Obama in the past, right?
Okay, was she for this election? That's a terrible
Did she?
argument.
No,
sorry.
but if
Did
you
she
could-
say
I
that
was
she was
endorsed by Barack Obama when I ran for
Did she
Congress
say
in a
that?
different race.
Did she ever say that? Did she ever
Why
say
did you bring
that?
that up? Why did you bring that point up? Why does it matter?
Because
If she
she's
was
because
endorsed
this
for
is
it?
one of the. Go ahead, Moon. Please. Sorry.
Because you're literally saying like, oh, why is she bring up Obama? Well, she was endorsed by Barack Obama in the past. She has worked with him. So why are you lying and saying that she said on the debate stage that she was endorsed by Barack Obama? Can you answer that?
Yeah, I think it's fair play. I think it's fair play to use Barack Obama's name. I
Sorry,
support
can you
any
answer
candidate to do
that?
that.
Why you lied and said that she said that she was endorsed by Barack Obama on the debate stage? Were you wrong?
Okay, I didn't say on the debate stage. She gave the impression when she was talking to
Were
voters
you
and also on the
wrong?
flyer she put
Yes
around.
or no?
I was super wrong.
Good, thank you.
Pulling some Pisco stuff.
Okay, so in the debate with Haley versus Abdul, he gave answers to questions on things like green energy, and also about the air pollution, about the sensors that are going to detect air quality, how we can make sure that we monitor that from different corporations. And she went on a story about like, I'm endorsed by the Attorney General, I'm endorsed by Whitmer because I'm going to bring home a future for people like you. It's just a different kind of politics. She sounded great off script, and she kept bringing up Abdul's podcast over and over and over again. Why would she bring that up so many times? She had terrible advisors, and the one time she did a genuine appearance in front of media, she went off script with TMZ. She got by far the biggest media clip of the entire primary.
So what's your point here? Just that
New
like her
media
better
is
when she's, like,
accessible
off
to
script?
moderate candidates. John Ossoff goes huge on independent media. Tallarico does huge on independent media. These are not exactly far left DSA candidates. Definitely not John Ossoff. Definitely not Tallarico. But they can still use new media. It's a candidate quality issue.
Well, that's not. Hold on. That's not a candidate quality issue. That's a messaging issue. Here, I will criticize it.
Yeah, and that's candidate quality. Yeah, if they can't message in the modern era. Yeah.
Well, if they're
Well, it's
capable of
obviously
it,
not
they're
a
just
messaging
getting.
issue because
let
she
me get
can't
my
do
point
it.
out.
Yeah.
Let me get my point out. I think that the Democratic Party, the DNC, the establishment, whatever you want to call them, has failed when it comes to meeting the moment with new media and the landscape that we find ourselves in. Their messaging has been terrible and it needs to improve. But that's not a candidate quality issue. When I think about candidate quality, I think, how are they going to govern? Are they going to be able to get bills passed? Are they going to be able to stand up for their constituents and meet the moment and oppose MAGA effectively? And I think that messaging matters, no doubt, but I think that is what gets you in the door. One of my problems with the DSA and with the left and with the rise of the populist is it's all empty vagaries. We saw the DSA candidate went on I'm not sure which interview it was. I don't think it was Fox News this time. It might have been where they were basically asked about their tax policy, and they had slogans. We're going to tax the hell out of the rich. We're going to tax the hell out of them if you make a certain amount. And they were asked a very simple question. Okay, how does that work? They weren't able to answer.
Was this the vice lead of the DSA?
Yeah, was this Megan?
Megan
Comer?
And
Megan Romer.
That continues to happen. When pushed on, how are you going to get this done? They don't have any answers. And it's because it's
I
all
don't like
empty.
the DSA.
It's all
I'm against the DSA. Yeah, I don't like the DSA. Yeah, I'm against that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can agree that like the Democratic members need to do better with new media and need to come across more personable versus like robots like Hillary Clinton did. Like if you watch Hillary Clinton interviews now, I don't know if I was brain broken back then or what, but Hillary Clinton now seems super personable, super cool, super chill, like somebody you could go have a beer or talk with, versus before when she was running in 2016, it all felt weird, cringe, and just not good. So I will agree with you, Jolah. We have a problem in the Democratic Party, and we're not like faultless.
Yeah, I definitely agree about Hillary Clinton. I don't know if that's I was definitely brain broken at the time, but I also think that if she would have done more long form media, if she hadn't been so allergic to going on more podcasts, things of that nature, she might have endeared herself better to the public. Although, I mean, being the way things were at the time and how much the well was poisoned regards to people's perception of Hillary Clinton, I don't know about that. So the danger here then is the DSA's ability to capitalize on the wide open media landscape that has been a bit underutilized. But that's one of them.
Yeah, the Republicans seem
to be clear, the messaging they're using to gain power and influence is anti-Democratic Party, right? That's how they win. Is they point to the Democratic Party and they say, these guys are failures. These guys suck. These guys can't win. These guys haven't done shit for you, right? And they use populist rhetoric to paint the Democratic Party as feckless, impotent, and bad. And like we have studies actually that show one of the reasons it's been hard to hold Trump accountable for his corruption is because so many voters see the right and the left as equally the same corrupt when it comes to corruption. That's bullshit. But one of the reasons they feel that way, and one of the reasons the voters think that way, is because you've had nonstop for the last 10 years a constant stream from segments of the left saying just that, right? This is the danger, one of the major dangers that the DSA, the far left, etc., pose. Is the messaging that they use to win makes it harder for us to differentiate ourselves from MAGA.
Dems need to run on easy things that like the American people are actually going to like. One of them is just going to be, I'm in super big support of free or reduced childcare. Every family can take home extra money each month. It'll go in their pocket. Another thing would be stock trading. I don't think any Democratic candidates or anybody in office, public office, should be allowed to just publicly trade stocks, especially in Congress or the presidency. So we need to have better messaging as Democrats.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the right adapted to the new media landscape a lot quicker. I think they were pressed to do so because they were in the sort of minority culture of political discourse. You know, we had the Obama years, the Bush years. They didn't really stand for much. They hadn't had a real champion since Reagan, and so they sort of gravitated towards these new media spaces to sort of recreate their culture. And we've seen the further left doing the same thing. And my big worry here is, you know, maybe there is no solution because the modern media landscape, and because it prefers the rocket fuel conversations, the big promises, and the the easy money, the easy solutions at the snap of the finger, like Whick says, if we just get rid of the liberal systems in our way, then we can just usher in our great new society. And I'm worried that there is a long-term, maybe unsolvable problem of real solutions, moderate solutions, safe solutions that don't solve everything instantly easily, don't have a selling point in the modern media landscape. And I'm not sure what's going to bring us back from that.
I think when you're running, you just say all the sloppulous shit, and then when you actually get to Congress, you have to really govern.
I've heard that strategy going around, and like
I don't like
I'm
that.
cynical enough. I'm cynical enough that I'll vote for someone even if I know they're doing that. Like if Gavin Newsom starts promising some sloppulism and he's our presidential candidate, I'm pulling that lever every time. But
So
I don't
I'm
like
not
that either,
sure.
Wick, but I think that you probably have to like pick your sloppulism and go in like that method. Obviously, you shouldn't just do everything. Like anybody
like
who wants to
Boromir.
ban data centers is stupid.
yeah, you're like Boromir though, right? You're looking at the One Ring, you're holding it in your hand, and you're like, I can use it to help. I can use it to win. No, cast that shit in the fire, bro. Like one of the problems with populist rhetoric is that it destroys trust in institutions. Populism has to have an us versus them dynamic. Otherwise, it's not populism.
Sure, but if
Right?
our allies all have the fucking One Ring, we have to, or sorry, our enemies all have the One Ring. Like we're gonna have to use it too, Wick.
I don't agree. And I think that this idea that we have to destroy the trust in our institutions so that we can somehow build back trust in our institutions isn't going to work. One of the reasons our democracy in America works has been our institutions, right? They have helped us grow and helped the American style democracy project really take off and be the best in the world. And one of the biggest reasons MAGA is winning is because the trust in science is all-time low. Trust in media is an all-time low. Trust in academia is at an all-time low. Trust in Congress is at an all-time low. Trust in the executive is at an all-time low, right? Like, if we want to get out of the MAGA era, we have to actually defend our institutions and say, no, sorry, sir, that rando college graduate with a bachelor's in communications does not actually know how to solve these problems. But that 60-year-old who's worked in this industry for his entire life might have a solution or two, right?
Sure, then our Democratic candidates need to actually go on stage and say that.
Yes.
Because I
no,
feel like
that's
nobody's
why I said we
saying
have a
that.
messaging problem. Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah,
You're right.
sure.
But it's not. But it's hard to win primaries saying that because of the populist wave.
Sure, but I feel like that's a bit of a defeater. Like if Haley Stevens was up there, and I think she was kind of trying to say this by calling him a podcaster, but I think you need to be a lot more blatant and in the voters' face about it and just be like, this guy has never done anything in like actual the Congress or the Senate or public office. Like really, I know he kind of had whatever it was. But she needs to go out there and just be harder about it. So I don't know.
Yeah. But when she does promote her work in the actual political industry, people like Jolah will say, oh, she's just saying that she's endorsed by Obama. No, she was using that to show, hey, the president of the United States really liked my work with his auto industry package for this state that I helped to govern, I helped to get through, I helped to implement. Like, these are all positives. And I feel like we're living in a world where being a politician is seen as a negative when it should not be. Right? I think that is, again, the result of people leaning on populist rhetoric, is people who are experts are not seen as unable to do the job. And so we need fresh, young, outside voices that'll get shit done. And everything seems to be getting worse.
I think an issue like ICE definitely deserves populist rhetoric and populist anger, and I think it's at the point of losing control completely, where we do need some pushing from the far left, and that's why I think DSA candidates are probably healthy for Democrats in that regard. We do need very, very radical action with ICE. Like Tom Homan won his highest awards and accolades under Barack Obama. He's been around for a while. Obama did a great job decreasing the private prison system and overall private prison spending, but that spending went directly to detention centers. And right now we currently have government officials like Miller and Hellman who are invested in GEO Group and a bunch of other operators of these private prisons. And we have mentally ill, manic, idiot, wife beaters murdering people cold-blooded, like in Maine, for example, not having even a crime scene preserved with evidence, not having any trial, no investigation, like nothing at all. The FBI is not even going to be investigating these cases anymore.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and I think that is like an issue where voters are, I think they're right to want populist anger about that. And I don't know if we're going to get the reforms. And even if my overall take would be repeal and replace ICE. You don't even need to be like abolish, but that's like Abdul's point, is repeal and replace it with the, it wasn't ICE, it was the immigrant.
He does say abolish ICE, but yeah, what he means is repeal and replace, which I think is what most people
INS,
want.
was it? Immigration and Naturalization Services?
Or whatever.
Yeah, the
you say
INS,
that's what most
ICE,
people want, and I agree with you.
That's what Abdul said.
But there is a group of people who don't want that. First one, I don't think that being angry at ICE right now is necessarily populist rhetoric. You can use populist rhetoric in order to target ICE, but you can also use institutionalist rhetoric to say this institution has fundamentally been subverted to what it was supposed to be by Trump basically opening the doors to all these crazy fucking folks to come in and be ICE agents. And what the policies from the top, because of Trump's appointments, have subverted the agency, and so it has to go. And so we can build a better agency, right? And we can build a better version of immigration enforcement in America. I don't think that that's necessarily populist rhetoric. It can be, but you're absolutely right that if it is an institutionalist take to say this institution isn't working and we need to reform it, or we need to replace it, or it's just not fulfilling the job that we thought it needed to do, so we just need to get rid of it, right? This is a fundamentally different thing than saying the corporate elites have destroyed us and it has decided to subvert the will of the people, right? These are different types of messaging, and I think that we need to be careful with how we message.
Maybe this would define my point better. So I think we need, this might be a good take to get things stirring a little bit. I think we need people like Kyle Kulinski to get ICE reformed. I think we need agitators who say a bunch of crazy shit, who have huge platforms, to say this is messed up in a really emotional way that gets people really fired up. That's not just like, oh, I'm doing a policy analysis.
People are already fired up about like people getting shot on the street. I don't think Kyle Kulinski is adding to the firing, honestly.
No, but he's helping. He's moving in the right direction. I looked at his page earlier today. He's making like 15 anti-Trump videos for every one anti-Democrat video. I'll take that ratio any freaking day. And people like him are being rejected by liberals, mostly online. But everyone I know watches Kyle Kulinski. Everyone I know watches.
Because I don't think Kyle Kulinski is like a Democrat. I don't think he's a part of
that
like
kind of
the
explains
team.
your take.
He's honestly just like a political pundit.
It's young people. It's young people who are like being motivated to join like the DSA and who like Zohran Mamdani and AOC and Bernie Sanders. And these young people are gonna grow up to be political actors, and we need an off ramp for them from the DSA, and we have to at least abide by some things they believe to be very true about politics.
Can I ask you a question, Jolah?
Mm-hmm.
Would you be okay with a pundit who was very anti-Trump? Okay, every day he came out with an anti-Trump video. It's just that every month, right? So after 30 days of anti-Trump videos, every month he comes out with a video of why we can't trust black people. Black people will steal your daughters. They'll steal your bike. They'll come out and make your life worse. And black people are the worst. Would you let someone like that in your party, or would you say that it's okay to watch this guy because he's primarily anti-Trump?
I would say, now here's the difficult thing. So I would compare that to spreading a video of like Sauger on breaking points, maybe, where I would maybe use them as a tool to maybe not de-radicalize, but to suppress the voter turnout of idiots who would follow someone like that. So even if it's not, and this can be a debate also about freaking, I don't know how I feel I'm leaning towards negative about Hunter Biden on Tucker Carlson's. I have not seen the whole thing. I've seen clips, but so far Hunter Biden's like, oh, we had a great time.
Is this a
looking
yes
at the real
or a
enemy
no?
of Israel. Well, it requires a lot of nuance because the actors were.
Can you say
involved in
yes or
here
no
are gonna be
first, and then we
tools.
can get the nuance after?
I think the coalition, no, but are they useful? Yes.
Okay. This is part of the One Ring thing. I don't think we should be using people like that. I'm glad you wouldn't let them into the coalition. I appreciate that. But I think that you're playing with fire when you're using people like that, right? You're saying, well, we're creating this beast, we're feeding it, we're giving it attention, we're giving it impressions, we're giving it views, we're spreading its clips, all these things, and we can control this beast, right? I think that you're making a mistake when you do that. And
I
same
think
with
I'm
Kyle
returning-
Kulinski, right? I think that people who are promoting Kyle Kulinski, he is someone who I consider an anti-Semite. I think that he's very anti-democratic. I think that I worry about his aversive elements. Sharing him because he's anti-Trump most of the time is like saying, well, we can control this forest fire. It will never get out of bounds. We know it has, a potential to be disastrous, but, it really is helping us in some ways.
But
We don't
Kyle
need to do this. This
Kulinski-
is not necessary.
The entity of Kyle Kulinski will be existing no matter what we do, and Breaking Points will exist no matter what we do. They are going to exist. They're going to have huge platforms, bigger than all of ours times probably like 1,000. They're going to be spread all over the internet. They are very, very freaking popular. They are growing like a wildfire, like the analogy you just kind of used. I would compare it to, I think you would agree. Do you believe that Russians and the right wing help fund the Green Party to beat Democrats?
I don't know if the word is to beat, but to subvert.
To split the vote. I would compare it to that,
yes.
where I want people who are going to say there's two types. So one would be like, oh, we're going to make a third party and destroy the Republican Party. So that might be like a Jill Stein, but for them. Libertarians do that sometimes. Or it'll be like, we are going to, I hate both parties, but I guess you should be voting Democrat, or I guess you should be voting Republican. Like the old Joe Rogan endorsement before he became a full-on cuck.
Yeah, but you understand in Russia's goal isn't just to beat the Democratic Party, right? Russians' goal is to fucking destroy America, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are wanting to cause chaos. They do not care about the second order consequences of who they promote. In fact, it's probably a bonus to them. Like, no, we get to hurt the Democratic Party and push these crazy conspiracies? Hell yeah, right? Like this idea that that we should do the same thing is to fundamentally misunderstand that we, as people who want to have America grow strong, are in a fundamentally different place than our adversaries across the ocean that want to just destroy us all. They want to destroy MAGA too, right? They want to destroy it all, right? So I don't think that we should be doing the same as Russia. I think that
they got MAGA into place already. Now they want to dissolve MAGA, dissolve it into the J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, completely Russian-owned party. Right now, it's like a competition between a couple different forces of foreign powers to control the Republican Party, which is really fun. And part of Laura Loomer going to Ukraine, which now the lefties hate Ukraine even more now, which is insane. And I wish Dylan was here. That'd be a good person to have here for that conversation. But I would just say that when I'm talking to people, I've gotten a surprising number of people to not vote Republican by showing them a Joe Rogan post, but before he was a complete cuck, like I said. Even Joe Rogan doesn't like this guy, or even right now, I can get a Republican to not vote Republican, and you can say like there's second and third orders that can like really destroy us about that if they are successful in making the Republican Party even worse. But I can get Republicans to not vote Republican right now by showing them a Tucker Carlson video, which I do think is very dangerous, and that's the whole Hunter Biden conversation. Then you have to have a conversation about how likely do you think it is that would be successful, and who are the figures you're pushing, and what are they saying? So like Sauger from Breaking Points, I think he might just be an asshole that can help us like say negative things about Republicans sometimes. But I think Tucker Carlson is very powerful and dangerous to play with. So I'm anti like Hunter Biden doing that for that reason. It is
I would only be anti Hunter Biden if he only went on there and he like jerked off Tucker Carlson the whole time.
He kind of,
If he
I mean,
went-
they
I
went
haven't
in on
watched
the
it
Israel
yet.
point. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Israel point, even after Hunter Biden's like, we both related around the one core issue that Israel is the one that leaked my nude photos and destroyed my father. Israel, yeah, they went fully into that.
If
so.
he just went on there and jerked off Tucker Carlson, I would say that is absolutely bad. If you're going on these platforms, you should be somewhat adversarial and you should have a real conversation and at least show the audience at least one point that you disagree on.
I'm sure he did something, but
yeah.
overall negative in my opinion. I need to watch it too, to be fair. Yeah.
I'd like to try to unpack Whick's metaphor there, where the idea of someone who had 50 videos that were anti-MAGA and then one that was anti-black. And I think that obviously is designed to morally load some of this in a way that isn't quite analogous, because it offends us very viscerally to the concept of being racist is so obviously wrong. But socialism and progressive ideas are not so obviously wrong. They're not as malignant and irrational as that. And there's a lot more people that are open to those ideas today, whereas I don't think, I might have to chew on this a little bit more, but I'm trying, go for it, Kyle.
It's been an insidious process, right? The Democrats have been accused of socialism for the past 10 years or so, which has made it a lot easier for actual socialist ideas to establish themselves as being acceptable within the a lot of people's minds of what the democratic framework should be. I think that's been one of the biggest problems with the way that the process has gone to this point, and insofar as bringing in the Socialist Party or the DSA into the Democratic Party, rather.
So two things.
Sure.
One, it's been way more than 10 years. I remember Rush Limbaugh back in the day calling Clinton a socialist, right? I remember they used to say this about Democrats in the 80s, and I'd assume the 70s as well, right? I'd assume the 60s too,
with Carter,
right?
with
this
Jimmy,
has been a thing for forever. And two, I do take issue with the framing that socialism isn't as obviously bad as racism. I kind of think it is. I kind of would argue that it might be, but that's a discussion we can have.
Let me try another tact with it here. So imagine we are back in the 1960s where racism was more virulent and alive. You might choose the social media person, maybe there's some late night show and 50 of their jokes are punching against the right and one of their jokes is super racist. You might still say, I would rather these racists watch this guy and stay racist as they're already going to be, but move them more towards a rational position on these very important things. I think that's why I'm against sort of the moral loading of that question here. I think we do live in a place where those people are, if you're a Kyle Kalinske fan, you're already going to be open to socialism. And so if you use a Kyle Kalinske clip to radicalize someone against Republicans, but they're already a socialist, they're already a Kyle Kalinske fan, I don't think you're really increasing the harm and increasing the amount of socialism in some serious degree, and that is outweighed by what you're doing in bringing them against MAGA. I think there's a fine line that we're going to have to search for in this political battle that we're facing. We need to be afraid of alienating too many people, right?
Well, here's
even treating Jolah here as an enemy to a degree would be bad, and I would rather have people like Pisco and Hutch having open communications, having open social relationships with people like Kyle Kalinske that are a little nearer to us and a little bit more rational than Crystal and etc. And I think we would benefit more from having those relationships and dialogues than shutting them off.
Kyle is not on our side. He's on the side of content and content creation. I don't like when people say that Kyle is a Democrat. Kyle has voted for Jill Stein since 2008.
Yeah.
I think that we fundamentally misunderstand the danger that look, I'm all for talking to even my enemies, right? Having good faith, open dialogue with even people I strenuously, vigorously disagree with. But one of the things that when you have that kind of conversation with someone, you have to make it very, very clear that there is serious, strenuous disagreement, that they are your political enemy, right? Jolah is, in this, my political enemy. He wants a different thing than I do, one that I feel is harmful to the overall health of not only the Democratic Party, but America as a whole. We have data on what wins elections. We have a lot of data on what wins elections. And guess what, gang? Moderation is what wins elections. Blue dogs outperform progressives who outperform the DSA. We know this. We have the data, years and years and years, election after election after election after election. For some reason, people have decided that, well, yeah, we have all this data, but this guy on Twitter once said that there are secret socialists waiting to rise up as soon as a socialist gets nominated for a primary position, or the youth voters will turn out this time, I swear, right? It doesn't happen. We can look at the stuff that we know to work, and we can use that. And I don't know why we have to pretend that, well, maybe if we just sidle up with the socialisms or the socialists, we need them on our side. I would argue that having a socialist on my side pushes 10 moderates away. For every one socialist vote we gain, we'll lose 10 other voters. I think it's just a simple math equation, and moderating wins.
Moderating's good.
I think that might win in general on long trends, but it might not meet certain moments. And I think we come
What
to
does
these,
that mean?
what I mean is, of course, it would tend towards sort of the Overton Center over time, and some sort of establishment, some sort of tendency. Like you wouldn't, it wouldn't be rational to assume that there would be a system that's just bouncing from extreme to extreme. Of course, some sort of average and center. I mean, I guess I would have to look more at what data you're pulling from to understand how this fits into your argument. But you can't imagine a situation where an extreme event happens, so it needs an outside of conventional solution.
Sure, I think you can obviously look at outliers and things like that, and
But the Senate and the Congress, like it's a numbers game. Like even if we're gonna miss one because somebody is too moderate, we're gonna on average win most of them.
Okay,
We'll win
but
more
what I'm
states
saying
than
is
we
that
lose.
one could be a year rather than an individual in a year. I'm saying you could have a year.
Sure, but I
which
would
requires...
also rather that
Mhm.
that we miss a year and then usually we're winning.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not trying to
yes,
argue
yes.
that there's nothing to
Yeah.
that concept of generally
Mhm.
elections are won by moderate candidates. But I would say, there's exceptions to every statistical data set.
One of the problems we're having actually right now is gerrymandering has an interesting side effect in that it makes certain districts more extreme, right? So if we were Republicans and we wanted to gerrymander a state to be more red, to have more congressmen come from red districts, we would dilute the Republicans, right? We would make a +8 Republican district into a +2 Republican district, and then we would pool all the Democratic voters into one district. So they get 1 and we get 8, right? Maybe we get 8 representatives. But the problem with that is that when we have these cobalt blue districts, the progressives have or not the progressives, I'm sorry, the far left, the DSA types have a far, far more likely chance of winning. And this works in reverse too, right? When the Democrats, again, decide to gerrymander and they pool all the Republicans into a single district or a couple districts.
I feel
the
like that's not what
extreme
usually
goes
happens, though,
up.
Wick. I feel like usually in gerrymandering, you can't just pool every single Republican into like one ruby red district. Instead, what happens is we turn
That's
our
how
cobalt,
gerrymandering works.
We usually turn our cobalt blue districts into we bring down our super blue districts
When we
in
do
order
it, yes.
to be in order to be
And to break them up. Mm-hmm.
in order
and
to
to
be what's the
dilute the
word
Republican vote.
in order to fight more in like other ones.
Yeah, but what how you usually do that is by pooling all the Republican voters or most of the Republican voters into one area. And then, well, look at how Virginia tried to do it, right? That's exactly how they did it, right?
But
they
now, like, some areas are even more fightable in Virginia. But
well,
like, overall, we lost a few seats. Yes.
Well, that's the risk you take with gerrymandering. Because if you one of the reasons that they call it a dummy mander is because they'll assume, okay, we're going to live in a R+8 environment, and so these seats are still safe. But then a D+10 environment comes along, and those safe seats become competitive.
Yeah, so kind of what I'm trying to say here is like, well, sure, we can have one seat then that's like more crazy. I agree with you there. But we are going to be competitive, and I think the other seats would be more moderate because the Republicans are going to lose their crazy seats. So I don't know if like the craziness actually changes besides which side is doing the crazy. Does that make sense to you?
Well, right now, yes, but right now the Republicans are the ones that are doing most of the gerrymandering.
Yeah.
And so when
Dems do it,
you're right
they vote
generally, but I'm talking specifically this year.
Sure.
I guess honestly, I'm maybe a hot take, but I don't know if primaries are serving the purpose that they should anymore. I think maybe we need to start moving away from primaries.
Yeah, we have
I don't think we need to move away from primaries. I think what Dems need to do is they need to actually coalesce around candidates quicker. And I think that we need to have something in the DNC that basically says, hey, if you're a Democrat, we're only sending like one of you to fight the DSA. Like, we can't do this thing of like, there's three of us that are fighting in the fucking battle.
I think the primaries have a huge problem of the people that vote in primaries are the people that are most politically active, and the people that are most politically active are getting informed on the internet and new media and rocket fuel politics. And so we're getting a lot more change than and not it's a selection for the same kind of rocket fuel in the candidates, and that's pushing moderation out of the process. And yeah, I'm fucking worried about that.
Are we all pro, like, not first or we do first past the post? Are we pro ranked choice?
I like ranked choice. I think ranked choice is probably a good system.
I think it gets you the most moderate candidate you should be going for in politics. Jolah, you're muted.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was muted. Jungle or ranked choice is definitely better than nothing.
Okay, I vibe with jungle actually.
Jungle's kind of fun.
I haven't done the algebra on any of these things. I have no opinion.
It's
Jolah,
funny watching that mayor guy lose for LA too. That dumbass reality TV show mayor that lost to that socialist camp. That was funny as shit.
Jolah, I'm sensing your internal sense of political homelessness right now, and I just want to commiserate with you for a moment as someone who's progressive and has some radical ideas, but at the same time wants to take things step by step and be rational. I just like to commiserate with you for a moment over being politically homeless and being too extreme for the Hillary Clintons of the world, but not extreme enough for the Nazi oyster farmers of the world, or the extreme DSA.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's gonna be some type of lane for it, especially with like internet drama. Like, I have the same number of videos attacking Hassan, Destiny, Crystal Ball, Kyle. Like, I have the same number of videos going after all of them, probably even more going after the far left because I want them to be better and be improved. And I'm someone who has supported my governor Josh Shapiro, who's very moderate, center right in some ways with like school vouchers, for example, and also Zohran Mamdani, because I think I need to listen to where the voters are going. I need to sort of work with it and get to the best place I possibly can. And yeah, I just don't agree with the.
But listening where the voters are going is going to depend on what the area is, right?
Yeah, but like with the current Democratic Party voting base, I can look at all these races and I can see why these candidates were chosen where they were. Like where the Daria Lisa won, I could see where they did not put in effort with campaigning, and they did not take her seriously whatsoever until the very, very, very end, after the DSA was knocking doors for months and months and months. And that was like a 30-year incumbent who just thought they had it locked down, and they thought such a goofy candidate could not beat them, and they were wrong about it. That's one reason I'm not worried, because if Espaillat, I think his name was, if he would have done anything, he would have beat Daria Lisa. Yeah, I just don't think she's going to be there for more than one term.
Well, one question for you on that, Jolah, right? You say we should go to where the voters are going, right? Move in their direction. Is that kind of your general thought? process?
We need to help guide it. We're not going to be in control of it as much as we want, but we have to help
Sure,
guide
but
it to a
we
productive
would
place.
generally go with what the voters are going. Did you support El Sayed or Stevens in the primary?
I supported El Sayed, but I was really big on making sure that if Haley Stevens won, that I would have shit on
That's
him
fair.
if he did not
Yeah.
support her.
Like, were you aware of the myriad of polls showing Stevens outperforming El Sayed by quite a bit in certain instances in the general election? Like, when people keep telling me, oh, we should go where the voters are going, and they do that from the left to say that we need to elect more left-wing candidates. But in poll after poll after poll, and election result after election result after election result, we see that in general elections, when you allow all the voters to vote, they tend to move towards the more moderate candidate. So I don't understand, like, if your position is we need to go with where the voters are going, why didn't you support Stevens in the primary?
I'm not going to be your guy to trust all these polls. I'm not going to, like, Susan Collins was down by 9 points, and I think she won by like 12 points in 2020. Anything can happen in the next 90 days. I think it's malleable. The differences were not that huge other than the one outlier poll. So I don't really go off of that. There's other intangibles I'd look at with the candidate.
If Abdul loses,
performance.
what do you think is going to be the issue?
I think that, well, one, I've never seen a Muslim candidate be successful in American politics whatsoever. That'll be a big issue. It was also a big issue for, like, Kamala, for example. Republicans are just freaking, racist as hell. You saw that one guy, Amir Hassan, his name was. Trump endorsed him in the one district. And the Republican district voted for a white guy that was not even in the race anymore. He had no profile picture. Amir Hassan got 30% of the vote. The white guy got 50%. He got a majority of he wasn't even running. That's how racist they are. So I think that'll be part of it. Abdul's
So you don't think
inability
it will
to
be
build
because
coalitions.
the Democrats didn't support him?
I've been extremely vocal about Haley and McMorrow. I think they've given a masterclass in supporting the candidate that they lost to. They're going above and beyond my expectations. I've been very critical of, like, Jasmine Crockett for not doing that, and also Cori Bush for not doing that. So I think I'm pretty consistent along these lines, and that's why I'm saying to you guys, like, you got to be careful who you call your enemies right away, because I'm definitely not. But for
that's why I'm asking these questions, because I have no.
Yeah.
So, no, I appreciate it.
No, it's all good.
Yeah,
Now,
so
since we
go for it, Kyle.
Since we've been talking about the race in Michigan so much, I do want to be clear that my understanding is that El Sayed is explicitly not a member of the DSA, and he's referred to himself as a regulated capitalist. Is there any concern that he's being dishonest with this identification?
My concern with El Sayed is his associations with people I do consider to be cheerleaders of mass murder, animal abusers, and basically anti-Semitic terrorist simps. I worry that he isn't distancing himself as I feel he needs to do from this, and it does make me wonder why, right? Why is he continuing to play footsie with someone like Hassan Piker? Does that mean that I think he's a secret socialist? I don't know. But I do wonder. It does make me question what his true motives and goals are here.
Mouton, do you have any input on that?
I think it's disgusting that he hasn't disassociated yet, but I think that we have a little bit of time. It can be hard, especially when you canvas with someone and whatnot. So I don't know at this point, like, even if he does disassociate, will I believe it? It's going to depend on what he says at this point. No matter what, I will support the Democratic nominee in Michigan. I will be out there at some point canvassing for him, and I will be canvassing in Ohio. So we'll see.
Oh, cool.
I have so for myself in that, I think for Abdul, he seems like a little bit of a lot of a competitive asshole. I think he's very annoyed with American politics in general. So when the Hassan stuff comes up, it would be super beneficial to separate. And Hassan not separating himself is extremely selfish. But like Ben Shapiro put up a post, and Republican senators say this shit. Like the enemy is with them. The enemy is inside the gates. Tuberville. Randy Fine, the shit he says. Ben Shapiro just said the other day, it turns out that importing massive numbers of Muslims from third world countries is a bad idea. Not because people get beaten in Dearborn for protesting or nearly stabbed for covering the news, but because radical Muslims create voting enclaves in Western countries and build coalitions with radicals who hate our civilization. It's like any other ethnicity. You replace Jewish there, that is literally word for word Nazism. Any other ethnicity, any other religion, any other anything. And Republicans can say that shit and skip around everywhere. So I think Abdul has a FU mentality with that, which doesn't make it right. But I think that's where personally they, Muslim American, and that's where like Mehdi, Hassan, I think that's why they give a pass to the crazy shit Hassan says, because they're annoyed that Americans can do, like right now we're doing terrorism in Iran and war crimes, bombing civilian infrastructure, and no one gives a shit. And Democrats do, so we shouldn't be.
What do you mean no one gives a shit?
Democrats give a shit, but Republicans don't. So that's one reason why I think Abdul and like Gillibrand calling Mamdani I know people say it was a mistake. She called him a jihadist right away. She did Laura Loomer posting. Gillibrand, the leader of our Democratic Senate campaign committee, one of the leaders there, calling Mamdani a jihadist. Like there is resentment built up there. So I don't blame them for all of it, but I do think I agree with the criticism of Hassan for sure.
What do you guys think about that behavior? Calling him a jihadist. Can we disavow everyone?
She took it back.
Yeah, sure. Look, if you were out there being anti-Islamophobic or whatever, not anti-Islamophobic. If you're being anti-Islam or Islamophobic, cut that shit out. There are plenty of legit criticisms you can give to people like Hassan Piker and etc., where you don't have to mention their connections to Islam or whatever or lack thereof at all. You don't have to go that route.
Kirsten Gillibrand apologized to Zohran Mamdani on Monday after she falsely claimed in a radio interview that the presumptive Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City had made references to global jihad.
Okay.
Gillibrand apologized for the mischaracterization of Mamdani's record and for her tone on the call.
That's not quite as sinister as it was made to sound there, Jolah. What do you think?
I think that when I listened to the interview, she called him a jihadist. She took it back after, which I expect. But she's been in the Senate for many, many, many years. She's like 70-something years old. She knows the implications, especially in American politics, of calling someone a jihadist. Especially, we just had recent like mosque shootings and everything. It just
can we
can try to find it.
Can we get the clip?
Yeah,
because like you already said earlier today that Haley Stevens on the debate stage said that she was endorsed by Obama. That turned out to be not true. And I'm wondering if this is an equally
so she acted like she was.
Gillibrand.
No, I don't think that you said she acted. I think that you said she said it.
We can play that back too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could take out my one sentence and not the 99% of what I said.
Hold on, if you keep slipping lies into your rhetoric, I'm going to call it out.
It's not a lie in rhetoric because I clarified with every other word that I said.
So you misspoke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was my joke. I'm endorsed by Barack Obama. It went big on TikTok, trust me.
Trying to find the clip in question.
It was a very obscure radio show.
I'm seeing a lot more clips of people talking about it than I am, and her apologizing than I am seeing the actual. I'm not really seeing that anywhere. If you happen to have it, maybe.
Here's my guess on what happened there is she heard him talking about Intifada and assumed jihad.
That is what she said, and when she clarified.
I think that's fair, but also at the same time a little bit racist.
You can argue those globalized. He never said that. I don't think. He just refused to condemn it at first, and then he did condemn globalized Intifada.
I'll clarify here. I would say I wouldn't criticize someone as being racist for that, but I would internally assume that they're probably a little racist after that. If you hear Intifada and you're like, he's a jihadist, I don't know.
I'd have to see the clip.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I have no opinion until I see the clip on what she actually said. So,
all right, moving forward a little bit here. Jolah, what are you the most worried about these relationships breaking down
Wait,
and what that
I got a
would call.
question.
What do you got?
Jolah, did Hassan shock his dog?
Most likely.
Thank you. That's all I
Solid.
did.
Solid.
Everyone I know with that dog does use shock training. Every single person I know with that designer dog, so I would not be surprised.
Do you think that's bad?
Yeah, I lean on the side of it being bad. I think lying about it would be the worst thing, though.
What about keeping the dog in the corner for like 6 hours a day with a dog collar?
Yeah, I
I-
think that's the biggest animal cruelty complaint there is just
That's
the
the worst.
general way he's keeping the dog.
Look, I think there could be a debate on like are shock collars a viable way to train your dog?
I'm against them personally.
But the issue is a lot of people will just go out of their way to simply lie about all of it, right? And simply say no, it never happened at all. And this is a problem I have with a lot of people from that corner of the internet, right? Is I don't know, they seem to lie a lot, and until they get caught, if they get caught, they just oh, it was a misspeak. Sorry. Oh, you're going to call me out for 1% of my words and 99% of the other words are there. But if we don't call you out, it never gets corrected, and the lie just keeps spreading. And I think that's a problem.
I think this is a
just
tough
like
issue.
when Gillibrand said the jihadist comment, and then she took it back after because she misspoke, right?
I mean, we can't even find it, so I didn't even know if she ever said it.
But she did misspeak, and she took it back after she clarified.
I'd
what
have
she
to
actually
see.
meant.
I'd have to see her say it. I haven't seen it yet.
I might have found it. It's a 31-minute radio show.
We don't have 31 minutes.
Tuck in, everyone.
Such a
Tuck
weird-
in,
it was a weird,
everyone.
yeah, we're gonna sit here for 30. Yeah.
All right, someone in chat figure it out for us. Somebody's chat because we don't have a chat. I think there's a little bit more meat on this dog collar shocking than meets the eye. You know, it's easy to write it off as just, you know, desperate drama farmers trying to attack Hassan. But I think what really irks people in the center left here is that it's just another sign of the dishonesty and hypocrisy and the way that these people carry themselves. There's rules for thee but not for me, and just a constant stream of misinformation. Having said that, I would like to caution to our side as a segue into how I'd like us to treat the left and the DSA, and especially people like Jolah or more like Kyle, etc. Is
Not me, Kyle Kalinske. To be
yeah,
clear.
Kyle Kalinske, not this one. Treat this guy like shit. Kyle, regular Kyle here, treat him like shit.
Fuck you, Kami.
Anyways, when we keep bringing this up, if we don't choose our words carefully, if we don't measure our words the way that they refuse to, then we come off as drama farmers and unserious internet losers that aren't actually engaged in real political discourse. Now, that's fair for me because I am an unserious loser, not engaged in serious discourse, but I don't want that to infect you people, okay? And I think that is my big worry in I don't think Whick is wrong, I don't think Mouton is wrong when he says that people like Kyle Kalinske and the DSA are my and our political enemies. But we shouldn't carry ourselves out there saying, you know, pitchforks, Kyle Kalinske is our enemy. What we should instead do, is measure
should.
ourselves.
We should. No, I'm not
It's
measuring
pitchfork
myself. I want to
time.
be very clear because
It's
you're right.
pitchfork
You're
time.
right. I want to be very particular and careful with my words so you know, dear viewer, that I mean what I say when I say it. Kyle Kalinske is an anti-American dirtbag who is our political enemy, who is someone is rotten to the core, who is a liar and a cheat and a sneak thief, and we need him out of the coalition. Hassan Piker is a cheerleader of mass murderer, he is a terrorist supporter, he loves Hamas, Hezbollah, etc., and he is someone we should vocally condemn and never campaign with.
And he's a
He
Russian and
is
Chinese
someone
stooge.
that we need to distance ourselves from quite a bit. I am being very careful and very particular with my words. I'm not trying to oversell it. This is just the God's honest truth.
I think you
And,
are
so
speaking
when
your
you say that,
honest...
oh,
isn't on
you
anybody's
can't say these
side.
things because you might be taken out of context, or you can't say these things. These are so like incendiary. No, bitch, I want to be incendiary. I want to incendiary.
I
these
love
people,
incendiary.
right? Like rhetorically, right? I want them out. I want to burn them out.
I love incendiary. I want effective. So how do you think those words sound on the ears of the average Hassan fan or the average Kyle
I don't care
Kalinske
what
fan?
they sound to the ears of the average Hassan fan. They're not my target audience.
Is there a single Hassan fan? Like, if you were in public and you're at like a Democratic event and someone's like, "Oh, I love Hassan Piker," what do you say to him? Do you try to convince him?
Did
to
you
be
know
more
he
like
shocked
you, or
his
do you
dog?
give up?
I asked him, "What do you know that he cheered his that the flag of Hezbollah is his favorite flag? Do you know that he praised Mao Zedong, who killed 40 million people? Do you know that he shocked his dog? Do you know that he once said that Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel? Right? Like, do you know all these comments?" And you go through, and if he does, if the person I'm talking with doesn't know that, then I can excuse ignorance, and ignorance can be excused. Ignorance can be corrected. But if that person is saying, yeah, and I love it, then that person is my political enemy. He should not be in that room with me.
It's not. That's
What if
not the
he'll
way
vote
it
for
works.
any
It's
Democrat?
in that person's brain. There's a lineup of 50 TikToks of Hassan going, he thinks I'm a terrorist sympathizer. Who's the real This guy's got a log of TikToks 10 years deep of disinformation. And so I think we need to do better at reaching these people. And I think if we come across too much as these just inflammatory, internet dorks that are worried about a dog shock collar, I don't think that's effective politics.
The
That's
problem
my
with
big
the dog
concern.
shock collar thing isn't that he shocked the dog. The problem is that he was shocking the dog to sit in place for like 6 to 8 hours a day on his stream.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, and I think
And lied about it.
if you can establish a relationship with these people and then speak to them that way, then they're more likely for that to break through rather than the 1,000th tweet.
Why are we treating like Hassan fans are very, very small? They have a lot of influence because they're in a lot of positions of power, but he's getting like 30 to 50K viewers a stream. He's not Joe Rogan. He's not like these big, huge influencer guys. He has a lot of influence because the people in the pundit class, the people in the podcaster class like him for whatever reason. But him on his own, his fans, we don't need to appeal to them. We could lose
Hassan
every
is starting
single
to get
Hassan
smoke as
voter.
well on mainstream media, and I promise you that a lot of his fans are going to leave because they're going to actually see the context of what he's been saying. Like he said, in a utilitarian standpoint, it's better to rape rich women than it is to rape like poor women or whatever.
I remember that
These
one.
are crazy fucking things that he's saying, and they're getting thrown out there. People are going to look at it. I'm not saying it's going to be the majority of Hassan's audience, but there are going to be some people in there with a mind for themselves and be like, maybe this isn't the community I want to be in.
Yeah, I would expect there to be at least a few casual Hassan fans that don't really have like the breadth of knowledge of everything that he's ever said, but maybe they like one or two things that he said because they're also for having like a universal healthcare system in America, and then they're not like, again, it's that insidiousness of it where there's like some adjacency, and then that little bit of adjacency is how they start introducing you to like Chinese apologia and abolishing the police and the Senate.
There's just real
Leave the
quick.
clip.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
real
yeah,
quick.
go ahead, Roy.
Yeah, before you do that, just to address something that some people in my audience are saying, and maybe there's some people in Moots or Jolah's audience and or our hosts here audience that might be saying the same thing. Like, why are we talking about Hassan? It's because Hassan is being brought up on all these major news channels, especially Fox News, because El Said and Hong and other Democratic politicians have decided to welcome
Campaign
this
with
guy
him.
into their camps. Now we have to discuss it because the Republicans are going to be discussing it every fucking day for the next 60,
they might not be
90 days.
your audience. Some of your members might not be tuned into the mainstream media right now, but Fox News is talking about him. I believe MS Now. Like he is on all of these fucking broadcasts, and his words are being used. People are seeing what he's saying. He is a popular figure on MS Now and news media to be talked about. That's why we're talking about him.
Yeah.
So you're more
I
worried.
also think that in general they don't cover like the time we spend talking about Hassan, and I'm happy that Brian Tyler Cohen does not do this. I'm happy that Pondering Politics does not do this. I'm happy that these channels focus on attacking Trump, because for every one DSA member we have, they have like dozens and dozens and dozens of criminals running as Republicans, and I want to keep the fire on them, regardless. I don't want it to be about Hassan Piker, which is why I'd rather him dip out. But even with him in the conversation, he's not near the most deplorable of people in the news cycle versus actual Republican congressmen.
Sure, but when they're using him against us in these races, that's the problem.
Yeah, you're less worried about.
They should just pivot back to issues people care about if they ask about Hassan.
The media is going to go with the narrative that gets them the most clicks and views. The media is going to promote the people who are new to the system. This is something that they're going to do. We don't get a choice. Look at El Said's interviews on I think CNN. I think it might have been MSNBC. Don't quote me. Right? He was visibly annoyed that people kept asking him about Hassan. But he better get used to it, baby, because they're absolutely going to keep doing that because it's what gets attention. I love Josiah. He is my boy. He is my friend. But I do think that he needs to punch left just a smidge. For every 100 Trump bad videos he does, he should do one Hassan bad video. I think that's a good ratio.
The average Michigan voter, I come from the Midwest, the state literally right next to it, Ohio. The average voter is not going to jive with what Hassan's saying about women getting raped. These are just deplorable things, and Abdul El Sayed should absolutely step away from him, or these attack ads are going to work.
Yeah, so you I've been trying to say this, we're also gonna fucking.
Yeah,
you two have been are more worried about the damage that the right will use him to affect than of the positives of converting the Kyle Kalinske fans and the Hassan fans.
Yes.
No, I don't need the 18-year-olds to maybe go vote this time. I'm okay on that.
So you think there's this part of the anti-establishment that is just sort of lost to our rational causes?
I mean, they'll grow up.
They'll
get with the program in a few years. But
there's
right
a lot
now,
of 50-year-old RFK fans. I think there's no growing out of stupid and gullible at some point. But you know what? Maybe we can win, even though the stupid and gullible are just all gonna team up on the right eventually.
Again,
I don't know.
Most voters, as Mouton said, most medium voters are turned off when the politicians cozy up with extremists like Hassan, who has said some deplorable shit. And
watch terrorists go and take over a fucking boat. Yes.
They are going to wonder why El Said is having a really hard time answering these basic questions when it comes to Hassan and deflecting, and it's going to lose us votes. We might, by going all in with Hassan, get maybe 1% to 2% of the electorate go in because it's more progressive, more left, etc. But we're going to lose 10% to 20% of the moderates who are like, I don't want to associate with a terrorist supporter.
And if you just change the subject when Fox News is asking Abdul about hey, how do you feel about your friend talking about rich women getting raped being better than poor women? And he just goes, oh, well, I think that we should have Medicare for all, blah, blah. That is not a good look. The average voter is not going to like.
They see right through it, yeah.
They'll probably say that, well, I'm assuming they'll say that this person is, this person never actually did this and Donald Trump is the biggest rapist of all time. I assume that's going to be the pivot that they try.
Yeah, it would be a lot better if he just nipped it in the bud and got it out of there. Like Mamdani did, to his credit, when he disavowed what Hassan had said. Anyway, Mouton sent me the clip in question. It is a little over 6 minutes long. It is a Reddit post. I don't know how to 2x it and make it faster. I tried to scan through it and find the exact moment where the word jihad was used. I wasn't able to do it. Shall we watch this clip together and try and find it? All right.
Yep.
Sharing screen.
Racism snooping. After we watch the clip, we'll all rate it on a 1 to 10 on how racist it was.
All right. Everybody, let me know when I'm good to start.
I'm ready.
Go for it.
Jolah?
Good to go.
James, we set?
Sure.
Wonderful.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you for taking my call and question. I wanted to ask two very pertinent questions about the threats facing the Jewish community, unfortunately, from Zohran Mamdani. There was a bill that I was reading about that, unfortunately, he wants to target synagogues and Jewish institutions which donate to nonprofits, which are medical institutions like United Hatzalah and Magan David Adam, which is like the Jewish Red Cross. So how do we make sure that Jewish institutions are protected from his plans to punish and fine our institutions which fundraise these medical nonprofits, which do work both here in the United States and in Israel and other countries in the world? And also, how can we hold Mr. Mamdani accountable for his glorifying association of Hamas and other terror bombings of the Intifada in 1990s, where over 1,000 Jewish Israelis were killed, to his revisionist Holocaust knowledge, to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, where Jews were mass exterminated and faced threats? He compared when Jews were killed to when Jews fought back against Nazis. It's quite despicable. I'm sorry.
Gabe, thank you for your call. There's a lot in there, Senator, some of which may be inaccurate. So I don't know. I can't fact check everything in real time. But do you know any of that to be inaccurate or accurate, including the original premise that he would somehow target synagogues if they were contributing to groups like Hatzalah, ambulance services, in a way that he could hurt the synagogues? I just don't want to give out information that's false, but I also don't want to shrink from information that's true.
Well, the caller is exactly the New York constituents that I've spoken to that are alarmed. They are alarmed by past public statements. They are alarmed by past positions, particularly references to global jihad. This is a very serious issue because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews create fear in our communities. The global intifada is a statement that means destroy Israel and kill all the Jews. So these are the kinds of things that if Mr. Mamdani is elected our mayor, we'll need to assure all New Yorkers that he will protect all Jews and protect houses of worship and protect funding for not-for-profits that meet the needs of these communities. Those are the things he'll have to do as our mayor.
He would certainly say that he has committed to protecting all Jews in New York as mayor of New York. Do you dispute? Do you doubt that?
Well, one of the issues I did talk to him yesterday was exactly this issue, and he has agreed to work with me on this and to protect all residents. So this is something I care deeply about, and so I will be an advocate on these issues. These are things that I think are important to New Yorkers, and I will work with him when he gets elected, if he gets elected, to make sure everyone is protected. I also, on the federal level, work to get resources for all our religious sites in the state and in the city. I lead the letter for funding for I lead the letter for the funding to protect synagogues and churches and temples and places of worship across our city and state. And these are things that he has assured me in my one conversation that he will protect everyone. But I understand why people are concerned because of past statements. And so this is just an issue that I will work with him on for sure.
I just feel compelled to say we can find no evidence that he has supported Hamas or has supported violent jihad, as that caller was asserting. Can you?
Here we go.
Again, Brian, I don't have all the data and information, and I've never sat down with Mr. Mamdani. So I've asked to have that meeting. I'm going to have that meeting. We will talk through all these things. He can tell me his views of the world, and I can learn them firsthand. I think the reference that I had read was global intifada specifically, which has very serious meanings that are violent and destructive. So
which he says, and I pressed him on this on the show on Monday, but which he says are not calls for violence, because intifada is a much broader term involving all kinds of uprisings and resistance and things like that. So I just want to be clear about how at least he defines it. And maybe he needs to be more clear. I don't mean this. I don't mean that. He did say here that he didn't want to be the word police, even as the mayor of New York, if he's elected. But I do also want to be clear that he said he does not support violent intifada. Is that fair?
So, Brian, I didn't hear your exchange with him, but if I was speaking to him directly, I would simply say that is not how the words are received. And it doesn't matter what meaning you have in your brain. It is not how the word is received. And when you use a word like intifada to many Jewish Americans and Jewish New Yorkers, that means you are permissive for violence against Jews. It is a serious word. It is a word that has deep meaning. It has been used for wars across time and violence and destruction and slaughter and murder against the Jews. It is a harmful, hurtful, inappropriate word for anyone who wants to represent a city as diverse as New York City with 8 million people. And I would be very specific in these words, and I would say you may not use them again if you expect to represent everyone ever again, because they are received as hateful and divisive and harmful. And that's it. So I appreciate that he told you he didn't mean that, and that's great. That's
And
a
I
great
think
place to start.
also clarify, or he was clarifying that he never said globalize the intifada. He was asked in an interview if he would denounce the phrase globalize the intifada. And then that led to this kind of conversation, that you were just referring to. But that he was never out there saying globalize the intifada. He was asked about other people who used it. So just to be precise about what happened there, yes?
Well, as a leader of a city as diverse as New York City, with 8 million people, as the largest Jewish population in the country, he should denounce it. And that's it, period. And you can't celebrate it, you can't value it, you can't lift it up. And that is the challenge that Jewish New Yorkers have had, certainly since October 6th. October 7th. It is exactly what they have felt. It is why Jewish students in our universities have felt unsafe. It is why Jewish students have felt that their schools did not have their backs and cared about them or their learning, because the people doing these protests use words that have meanings that are far more violent and horrific than they may have intended. But when you hear things like intifada, when you hear things like jihad, when you hear from the river to the sea, it is received as slaughter the Jews and destroy Israel, period. It's how it's received. And if you talk to any group, you talk to our LGBTQ community, you talk to our Black community, you talk to our Hispanic community, there are words and there are imagery and there are things that are said that they will hear it and feel it as a dagger to their throat. And so if you want to be a leader, you have to recognize how these things are felt and received, and saying there should be no word police is irresponsible. Because as a leader, you have to protect everyone, period.
One more thing before you go, for you as a member of...
Okay.
So you said that she called him a jihadist, huh?
Take it, Mouton. I'll let you do it.
So the exact quote, well, the caller is exactly the New York constituents that I've spoken to that are alarmed. They're alarmed by his past public statements. They're alarmed by his past positions, particularly in references to global jihad. So they're alarmed in his past positions in reference to global jihad. This is a very serious issue because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews, meaning Mamdani, create fear in our communities. Yeah, I think that's pretty bad.
This was probably from the video clip we saw was probably from the same interview,
apologized.
But maybe not from the same part
That's why
of the
she
interview.
apologized too, because it was bad.
Now, because Jolah's reading a quote that's conflicting or
what
not
was the
in
next
the
sentence?
clip. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not in the clip.
That was from 119 in the clip.
Oh, that was actually in there. I
have the clip pulled up. Yeah.
She says it one time, and then immediately in the next sentence she corrects it and says global intifada.
She says jihad again at the final minute again. And she claims that he used the word globalized intifada and jihad and everything.
Why did she say that in the final?
Can you
just
link me
assumes that he said
the
it.
post, sir?
No, you're wrong.
Link me the post because it has
she
like
assumes
the
he
thing.
said it
I'm
throughout
pretty
it.
sure
And
you
the
just
radio host
mischaracterized
had
it again.
you can listen to it. The radio
I'm pretty
host had
sure
to
you
correct her
just
3 times.
mischaracterized it again, and we're gonna
The
go
radio
through it,
host
but I
had
wanna
to
make-
correct her 3 times, right?
Here, Wick, I'm linking.
Why was the
Yeah,
radio
link
host
it to
correcting
me,
her 3
please,
times?
because that's
Why
not
did
what
the radio host need to
happened.
correct her 3 times? Why did he correct her 3 times?
What do
He
you
didn't
mean?
correct her.
When was
He simply
correcting
asked for
her?
clarification.
Yeah,
Right?
why did he need
She
to
was
clarify 3
very
times? Why did he
clear.
need to?
Can I?
Do we need to
finish?
re-listen to the fucking 6-minute clip? Were you ADHD'd
hope
out?
not.
She started
I
off.
just
She started
closed
off
the
by
stream. I
saying
hope
that he has comments in reference to global jihad and globalized the intifada. She said it again. She said that it glorifies
clip
the
back up.
killing
We
of
need to
Jews.
go. We actually
and then
gotta
at the
go line by
very
line.
end, and then at the very end, after he says, "Are you sure he said that?" She says, "It doesn't matter if he said it or not. He should condemn it." Is that not right?
I'm gonna read the quote. Well, the caller is exactly the New York constituents that I've spoken to that are alarmed. They are alarmed by past public statements. They are alarmed by past positions, particularly references to global jihad. This is a very serious issue because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews create fear in our communities. The global intifada is a statement that means destroy Israel and kill all the Jews. That's not saying that Mr. Mamdani is a jihadist in any way, shape, or form. Why are you characterizing this as something it's not? When we have the transcript right here, we can read it. She never says in this entire exchange.
Gillibrand's apology says, Gillibrand apologized, this is in writing from her office, for mischaracterizing Mamdani's record and for her tone on the call. Why did she apologize
That's my problem with
about
what she did. She should
mischaracterizing?
not have
Everybody
apologized
knows
for
about
anything
this except you guys because you are brain broken
you
by online
are
lefties.
literally saying that she
From
called him
Gillibrand's
a jihadist.
office.
She absolutely did not call him a jihadist.
Why did she apologize for her mischaracterization of Mamdani's record and for her tone on the call?
Every time you criticize anyone on the left, you get fucking harassed. So she's
Was
gonna
she not
apologize
wrong to say that
then to the
Mamdani
mob.
spoke of jihad and globalized the intifada? That he referenced a jihad and globalized the intifada?
I'm pretty sure
Did he do that?
I don't know. I haven't watched every Mamdani.
As Mamdani
clip.
glorified the killing of Jews and repeated globalized intifada and supported global jihad.
Every Mamdani clip.
You know who didn't
That's why she
say that he
apologized.
did?
I think you're ripping the
Kirsten
context
Gillibrand
from it a little
didn't
bit
say
there.
that he did that.
Yeah, you're literally. Yeah, you are.
I think she was
Kirsten
trying to.
Gillibrand never
She very
said that she
specifically
said that.
contextualized and
that
said
he said that.
Governor Hochul also commented on the racism Mamdani is already facing, including from New York's own Kirsten Gillibrand. So even Kathy Hochul, the centrist governor of New York, backed
Nice
up
appeal
what
to
I'm
authority.
saying.
Very good.
That's not an appeal to authority. That's
That
talking
literally
about
is.
the Democrats on the ground who also have the same interpretation I did and what most Democrats did interpret.
So
you guys
your
are broken by
interpretation is
online lefty community, so you don't have the same
absolutely
interpretation.
You're literally on
You
here
lied to
lying
us.
again. You've lied
You
twice
lied to
now. You
us.
came on here and said she called him a jihadist. She did not call him a jihadist. You're literally wrong twice.
Saying that he referenced global jihad and globalized the intifada in a positive
Is
way.
that calling him a
in my
jihadist,
opinion,
yes or no?
In my opinion, saying you support jihadism, yes.
Well, then you're
By
retarded.
categorically, you are ideologically a jihadist. Yes, you didn't. Not that you did it, but that you believe in the use of
Even
force and
say
violence.
that I want to be clear. Kirsten Gillibrand never even said that he said
See,
these
this is the
things.
issue, though. The
He
entire
said-
Democratic
he was-
Party
he-
agreed this was
I
a
have
bad
not,
statement and
she
called
said
it out.
this several times during the call. That
I gotta
I
go read
have
the
Super
apology
majority
because
of the
I didn't
party.
even fucking believe
These are
you on the
things that I've
apology because
heard.
you're a liar.
A super majority of Democrats heard exactly what I heard.
No, because
including
no,
the
what they
governor
did
of New
is they
York
listened
and
to
Gillibrand herself.
Twitter's and TikTok's claim that's what she said, and just lie about what she said, and then they
Everybody can read it for
again,
themselves.
through
Everybody can
osmosis,
read
got
it.
that into their head.
Yeah, everybody can
You
also
just
go listen to the
lied
clip
us,
and hear that you're a
man.
fucking
Yeah,
liar,
she took
man.
it back. Everybody, you can't even point out the lies you're claiming.
I don't
We
think it
just
does it any
did.
good to call it a lie. I think this is just people in different
No, it's a
information
lie.
bubbles.
Now he's lied
It's
twice.
It's incorrect.
Nice try.
It's not. I don't believe it's intentional. I think this is
You're
legitimately
wrong.
how he sees it. I think this is the
The
information
super majority
presented
of
to him.
Democrats.
I can understand his perspective and where it comes from. I
Stop.
wouldn't call it a
Stop.
lie.
Stop it. No. Can you understand like Trump's perspective where he comes from when he says that he's winning the
You think-
Iran war?
you
No,
think-
we can look at things.
You
we
think
can look at
Jolah is
objective-
equally
the job
as
of a
dishonest as
podcaster,
Donald Trump?
The job of an influencer isn't to hear someone say it's raining and hear another guy say it's not raining and then say, well, both sides have a point. It's to go out, look through the fucking window and see if it's raining or not, and then say who is correct and who is
that is a
incorrect.
way more
If I
simply
say-
observable
if I
fact.
say, for
That is so
example,
much
if
more
I say
simply
that-
observable.
If I say Whick has made comments glorifying the killing of black people, and Whick had made comments glorifying the assistance of the KKK, what do people assume about you, Whick, if you glorify the killing of black people and the KKK? If I claim
I
you
would
made
ask,
those
where
comments.
did you see those clips? Where'd you find
You
them?
can read the transcript that we just watched. That's why she apologized. That's why Kathy Hochul apologized. That's why the radio interviewer had to have her
Hold on,
clarify.
That is
3
not the
separate
problem.
times.
You were saying that she called him a jihadist. She did not do that.
Did she reference that he supported jihadism?
Did she say Mamdani
No,
is a jihadist?
The quote wasn't that the quote was not that he supported it. The quote was she didn't like the way that he spoke referencing it. She's saying she didn't like the way he spoke about jihad and global antifada.
I'm sorry. Jolah
I'm going
earlier
to read another
literally
quote. I'm
had
going to read
said,
another quote.
Go
Well,
ahead.
one of the issues I did talk to, this is Kirsten speaking, Kirsten Gillibrand. Well, one of the issues I did talk to him yesterday was exactly this issue. And he's agreed to work with me on this and to protect all residents. So this is something I care about I care deeply about. And so I will be, an advocate on these issues. These are things that I think are important to New Yorkers, and I will work with him when he gets elected, if he gets elected, to make sure everyone is protected. That's her saying in this entire clip, is her repeating, like, Mamdani is willing to work with me to protect the residents of New York City and to protect Jewish people. Then she goes off and talks about how when people talk about global intifada, they hear kill the Jews, right? And that's a fair thing to say. That's a fair point to have. She had no need to apologize for that at all, right? I think that one of the problems we're having on the left is people are forced to make apologies when they have done nothing wrong. And I think this is what happened here. This criticism, it wasn't even criticism of Mamdani. It was just criticism of people being flippant with words, right? And again, to characterize this as
criticizing him
Kirsten
for
Gillibrand saying that he was a jihadist is just dishonest.
She was
I
definitely
saw the
criticizing
apology
him.
from Gillibrand. I saw the apology from Gillibrand, and she apologized for associating Mamdani with jihadism. In my opinion, when you say like when someone says globalize the Intifada, are you not saying they support jihadism? Are you saying they do not support the Intifada?
Say that again. It didn't compute.
Yeah,
my
If
brain.
you say someone supports globalizing the Intifada, what do you assume about that person?
That they support the globalizing the Intifada. Did she
If you
say that in this clip?
If you say someone
Mamdani
references
supported globalizing the
jihadism,
Intifada?
what do you assume about that person if they reference jihadism in relation to not protecting New York Jews?
Again, I'm looking through this. I can't see a spot where. Here it is. We will talk through all these things. He can tell me his views of the world, and I can learn them firsthand. I think the reference that I had read was global intifada specifically, which has very serious meanings that are, again, sorry, excuse me.
She thinks the reference that she read.
That are serious meanings that are violent and destructive. Which he says, and I pressed him on this on the show on Monday, but which he says are not calls for violence because intifada is a much broader term involving all kinds of uprisings and resistance and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to, just based off assumptions, say that, yeah, sure, it's a 70-year-old lady that doesn't understand the issue very well, but she put a lot of nuance and even room for him to, come back to a more rational position there. I didn't find that to be offensive or worth apologizing.
Do you think it's bad that she has a problem with people who use words like intifada? Do you think that's worth apologizing for? Do you think that's something she should be that's Islamophobic or anything like that?
I think tying Mamdani to intifada and also jihadism without speaking to him about it first and having to apologize after is a negative association she made with Zohran and those terms.
Can you answer my question though? Can you answer my question when I asked, do you think that it's
bad
Islamophobic for someone to have a problem
jihadism
with
and
the references
intifada.
to intifada?
Yeah, that's why I think it's bad that she associated him with it off the rip, and she did correct it after.
June 17th, the Bulwark directly asked Mamdani about the phrases "globalize the Intifada" and "from the river to the sea." His response did not condemn the slogan. Instead, he argued, quote, "What I hear is in so many is a desperate desire for equality and equal rights in the standing up for Palestinian human rights."
Yeah, I said she walked it back right away. I wasn't disputing that at all.
I don't know why we're talking about her when we're talking about what Mamdani said there.
And Mamdani ended up condemning it. My claim was about her first reaction was that he associated with jihadism and globalized the Intifada without any proof of him saying either of those things.
It sounds like she criticized him for not being hard enough on the concept of global Intifada. And
also, this interview was before he
but that's
this
the thing.
Interview was before
he took it back. He became more critical of the concept of global Intifada. So it sounds like he agrees with her criticism. It sounds like he agrees with her criticism. Now, I am very sensitive to the idea of the establishment or just any politicians abusing Islamophobia against candidates. I'm very sensitive to that issue. I think there have been cases of that, certainly against Mamdani, obviously, but I don't think this is that situation. I think this is a good show of the information bubbles that we live in, where there is so much of a focus on the establishment versus the anti-establishment, and the campism that has grown, so that we see things in the most favorable light to our sides. Because I still watch the Majority Report. I put on radioactive proof brain tinfoil on when I watch it, but it helps me understand the different media bubbles that we live in, and there are some legitimate points where the establishment is even abusing Islamophobia in some small cases. I just don't think this was it. I think we should be on the lookout for those things, but I don't know if this was egregious on any level. I think they got pushed into an apology because Mamdani was so popular and these issues flared up, and I think there was a legitimate decrying of the abuse of Islamophobia against Mamdani, but I don't think this was that. I think she caught a stray on this one.
Okay, I disagree. I agree with the majority of Democratic voters on this, but
her spokesman in 2025 said Senator Gillibrand misspoke in that instance. As she noted subsequently, her concern was the refusal to denounce globalized intifada rhetoric. She also highlighted that Mr. Mamdani assured her that if elected, he would protect Jews and all residents of New York City.
So did she misspeak or not? Because you're saying she did not misspeak.
When did I say?
Hey, I sent Kyle. I sent you a DM. Can we pull that up? I want to talk to Jolah about this one.
Very good. Pull it up. And okay, so it seems to be a video. I will.
Well, the
share my
tweet
screen.
specifically about the video. This is from Jolah.
Oh, okay. Very well.
Oh boy.
So sharing screen.
Haley Stevens might be racist. Oh my God, Jolah, what are you doing here?
Yeah, what is
this?
this?
This is a good one. It was funny.
Haley Stevens versus Abdul El Sayed is heating up in Michigan.
Funny,
I was I was proud to work with Obama, end quote. And you're sharing this TikTok of some sort, or maybe I don't know what is this, right? Like a thing. Can we watch it real quick? Can we see what you said?
Sure. Let's Oh, right.
God bless America.
Yeah.
We're a real show, which is why we have Twitter installed.
Oh, can we not see it?
Hey, I don't know if there's going to share any insensitive information, but I'm going to stop streaming just in case so I can log in.
Type your password out. You won't, pussy.
I would if it was just North. Shout out to North, but he actually saw me accidentally stream my credit card info once, and I haven't seen any purchases from California, so I can only assume that that's because he's an
North is an honest man. That's a real G right there.
Oh, for Christ! It wants me to enter a code.
Okay, regardless, right? Did you call Haley Stevens a racist? And what was?
No,
let's just ask him. You're
you
here.
have to watch the full video to understand it.
Right.
Oh no.
Of course we do. James, do you by chance happen?
No, it actually is. Yeah, it's the point of the video. Yeah, because I gave her credit in the video.
Okay, I guess we'll find out.
If anybody else happens to have a Twitter account,
I can. Do you want me to stream it?
Stream it for his money.
That might be faster
God bless America.
than me setting all that up.
Thank you, Patriot.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Wick.
Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, ready for me to go through them? It's about a minute long, minute and a half. Let's watch.
Bro, Haley Stevens might be racist.
That's right.
Haley at her events, she sees a bunch of white people. She sees a black person. She's like, hey, you. I worked with Obama. I worked with Obama. Vote for me. Wait, you people do like Obama, right? I'm going to walk up to random black people and be like, hey, I supported Barack Obama. Fist bump, buddy.
Everywhere I have gone in Michigan, I have taken the time to visit a minority-owned business.
I'm so happy to be around all of my minorities in this minority-owned business. This is not how normal people talk. I've seen Haley Stevens sound pretty good sometimes, but her consultants right now, and she only listens to consultants. It's really bad. She's talking about Abdul El Sayed's podcast, his podcasting career. There are much better things to hit about his career than his podcasting. And she's going around like, Barack Obama endorses me, Gretchen Whitmer endorses me. Her answers to questions are who endorses her. Stand on your own business. Stand on yourself, Haley. Be confident. You are talking
When did she ever say Barack Obama endorsed her, huh?
Points and your
Curious.
math. And that is true. Campaigns look at it that way. Consultants look at it that way. But that's why Haley Stevens' campaign is not connecting. I think Mallory McMorrow had a better campaign. Too bad she dropped out pretty early. But, it is what it is in Michigan right now. Abdul El Sayed is up by 10 or 15 points, unless if there's a big shift.
That was false too.
His betting odds are at 95% chance for him to win. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please drop a like, repost this video, and follow my page for more.
I got some likes. I'm not going to leave them in your comments, not some likes. I got some thoughts, but I'm not going to leave them in your comments, man. I'll just direct you. This calling her racist because she's proud of her work with Obama, or that she's trying to include minority communities in her campaign, and then lying about her saying that Obama endorsed her. I feel that this is just a fundamentally dishonest way of
This
like
is just like
viewing-
pure internet autism too, because obviously at the end it's just like tongue in cheek, like, oh, this person endorsed me, this person supports me. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you saying I'm being autistic right now?
I thought it was pretty funny.
So it's all just jokes, right?
No, it's not
Doesn't
all
matter.
just jokes,
Nothing
but I think
matter.
the whole tone of the video is pretty jovial.
I don't think so. I think you were doing serious-ish political commentary there, and you got caught lying, and you look like an idiot.
Okay.
I think while you are using humor, I think you are brushing over and abusing the accusation of racism to create a bigger political message there. And I don't think you're doing that, intentionally or
The joke
cynically.
is pandering, obviously. The pandering is
Yeah,
the joke,
yeah, you're
obviously.
mocking their pandering. I think
Were you joking about this? Were you joking
Mocking.
that you
there's
thought
a
she
little
was
bit of
pandering?
a. I think there's a Schrodinger's
It's
joke
mockery
there.
about
It's
pandering.
it's a joke when it's a
yeah, but
joke, but it's
mockery
not a
isn't-
joke when you need it to be. You're the barb still sets, even though you're pretending it's just a joke. You're still setting that poisoned barb in there, and I personally am not going to say that I think you're a bad person for doing it that way. I think it's just you're putting poison into the discourse when you do it that way.
You get the communists on your ass. That's not good.
Like I'd send that to my buddies, but I wouldn't try and use that in the algorithm and put it into the greater discourse personally. I think it's well, I mean, unless you're like pedal to the metal cynical, okay? Unless you want to be pedal to the metal cynical. If you want to use these little, toxic moments in the discourse to promote, I won't necessarily say I'll respect that, but I'd understand it. I understand it. I understand that in this media landscape, we have to use a little bit of rocket fuel to get things going. I just want to make sure that it's a safe rocket, okay? I want to make a safe rocket. And I think that's what Mamdani does. I think Mamdani perfectly, he elevates it without using the toxic elements of this rocket fuel style social media engagement. And I think you're capable of doing that too, Jolah. I think you are. I think you can do it. I think you're fun. I think it was a funny video. I think it was funny. But I think
got a message better. I stand by it. I stand by all of this.
I stand by.
I
The
stand
Democrats have
by
a
a
message
majority
better.
of Democratic voters. I stand by the idea we need to work with Democratic voters and where they're going, and they want the party to change. And you guys don't push for the party to change. And when I make jokes like this, it is mocking. It is going to be in that tone.
But I
But
don't want us to
overall, when I
become
give
liars.
a messaging advice to Haley Stevens, the overall point is Democrats need to be better. And if I'm going to shit talk a little bit and go back and forth, the shit talking is fine. And people that watch my TikTok regularly know that I'm a sarcastic asshole sometimes. And when we go through these different points, I also have videos on my channel giving Haley Stevens the most credit in the world and Mallory McMorrow. So I have a huge balanced approach on my TikTok. If you judge a political opinion off a 60-second TikTok, then yeah, you can say it could be bad in a microcosm of that example size. But no, I stand by that post. I think it's pretty funny.
Let me give you a little advice then. Don't lie in your TikToks and message and then expect people to take you seriously.
I think it was funny.
What was
It
the
a
lie in
TikTok.
that
Sure,
TikTok?
you keep
agree
saying
with
it was
you.
funny.
All that
What was the lie in
Because
the
I said,
TikTok?
oh, Obama endorses
The
me.
lie was
Because
saying
I said,
Obama
because I
endorsed her.
said, because first off I said, oh, I work for Obama, and then I said, I'm endorsed by this person. Yeah, it's obviously, yeah, I'm making a very serious political point in that tone. That is how she sounded in the debate. I think even Whick made a joke about that, where Abdul said about APAC, and that Haley Stevens said, I'm endorsed by. So if you want to be like, oh, that particular word wasn't correct in there, I still said working with Obama, and obviously it's a jovial tone video. And the interpretation on the ground of all the flyers, and the same way that Trump put out flyers in Pennsylvania and had voters believing that he was pro raising Social Security, increasing the payments and increasing healthcare coverage through Medicaid, the same way you could throw flyers around Michigan and have people believe that because Obama's on every single flyer on the front page and they only send that front page flyer with Obama to black voters, yeah, it's pandering. It's
You can
yeah,
keyboard
and I did
salading
joke
if you'd
about that.
like, but you lied in the video and it's cringe and stupid.
I'm talking about actual politics. I'm talking about the point I was getting across with that video, and I know you know what that means. You just want to pin it on that point. But
Yeah, I'm going
just
to pin it
trying
on
to
you
make
lying in the
sure-
video, and your video could have been better if you didn't lie and didn't use that phrase, that triple ass.
Okay, next time I won't, in a sarcastic voice, say endorsed by Obama after I said work for Obama, and I showed the
Good.
clip of her saying that she worked with Obama.
Good, you shouldn't.
Yep.
Okay.
But if this
I
is going to
agree
be the
with
left,
you.
we're going to get destroyed by MAGA. This is why you guys having this whole like
No, we don't
communist
have.
theory of
We don't
cancer
have to
growing.
lie. We don't have to lie. I think not lying makes us better than MAGA and makes it more likely that we are going to win. One of the problems I'm having is I'm with you that Democrats' messaging needs to be better. It needs to change. But when we start lying, it gets worse. It doesn't get better. It becomes more MAGA-like. And one of the most insidious things about the DSA, the left, and all these people, right, coming in is they are trying to make us more like MAGA. And if I have to become MAGA to defeat MAGA, I've lost. We've lost. And we don't have to is the thing. This is a false choice. We do not have to become more like them in order to win. We don't. We can simply draw bright red lines, take a stand for something, and message it much better than we have been, and we will do much better than we are doing right now. I just think that, again, you could just say, yeah, I messed up, man. You could just say, I was lying. I'm sorry. I apologize. And we'd respect you a whole lot more.
You don't even say you're lying. Just say you made a mistake.
Okay.
So,
All right.
gang, we are looking to wrap up the main conversation in about 15 minutes for people who have sleep schedules and live on the East Coast. We will be open for call-ins if anybody would like to stick around and chat with callers. Otherwise, if you have to bounce, obviously feel free, and we appreciate you being here. With these last 15 minutes, though, I want to refocus us a little bit more on the DSA as a whole and talk about where our lines are as far as who we are willing to vote for. Where should the Democratic voters put their vote if they have a DSA candidate? Starting with you, Whick.
It would depend on the office that is up for grabs. If it's like a local election or something, here are my two bright red lines. No rapists. I won't vote for you if you rape. Okay. No commies. Okay. If you're a DSA member or something, unless it's existential like a Senate seat, I'm not voting for you. I'm just not.
Mouton, how do you feel about that?
I would vote for anyone who had a D next to their name for Senate. I will not endorse Francesca Hong. I wouldn't vote for Francesca Hong. My red line is somebody going on a podcast with a guy who calls for my friend's death, not only once, but twice. In the House of Representatives, it would depend on the seat and what they've exactly said, but I would say that we have some key Senate seats, like in New York, where I think we can lose a few to keep DSA members out.
Jolah, how do you feel about voting for a DSA candidate?
I want Republicans to know that even the worst DSA candidate is better than whatever slime they put out. And also for like governor of Wisconsin, there's so many election voter suppression bills that can pass Wisconsin. They have a Republican House if they have a Republican governor that are going to destroy our chances to have a free and fair election in 2028. So that is not worth sacrificing for anything.
With that said, with the DSA candidates, besides El Sayed, besides Hong, is there anybody that anyone can think of that is particularly concerning with their either stated opinions or their affiliations?
Chevrolet.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, she's the one who's in New York.
There was one in Colorado.
Okay.
There's one in Colorado. I forget her name, but she basically, when asked about the Boulder attack, the person who burned, threw Molotovs at Jews, basically. She really downplayed that, and I did not like her answer there, and I have real big problems with her as well. So those are the two.
And to those not familiar,
I forget her name. What is her name? Does anyone know in chat? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember that. I know you're talking about. I don't remember the Colorado's name.
Oh, Milat Kuros or something. Yeah.
And just for those not aware of the candidate beforehand, can you tell us what was it, Chevalier or whatever?
Chevalier.
Sure. I could tell you some of the reasons that I think that she's a real bad actor. She created a group, the CUAD, which stated goal is the destruction of the West, right? That is their stated goal, and she created this group. I think that she should hold some responsibility. When she's been interviewed about what she would do with mass murderers and rapists, she's refused to say that she would put them in jail That's concerning to me, right? She wouldn't deport a rapist or a murderer. She has made some pretty yikesy comments about interracial relations. She seems to be against that. I honestly, there's a lot, and these all are pretty disqualifying to me. I think that if your stated goal is to destroy the West, then I'm not voting for you. Sorry.
Fair enough. Mouton, any other candidates that you're particularly concerned about right now, aside from the aforementioned?
No, none come to mind, I guess, off the top of my head. Like, Hong is the one that I am biting the bullet the hardest on, I think.
Fair. Jolah, I know that you're a little bit on the other side of this aspect of the conversation, but are there any other DSA candidates that you feel are too dangerous to vote for?
On the fringes, Daria Lisa and Hong, the same answers. We'll see if Daria Lisa makes any concessions to moderate, if Zohran and AOC can get her too. So time will tell. She's gonna win regardless, so I'd vote for her over the Republican. In a display of goodwill.
Beautiful.
I don't think she's running contested. I think it's an uncontested seat.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't even need your goodwill. Doesn't even need it.
Let me see.
I could be wrong on that, but well, you know what? I should check things before I say it, right? So I don't turn into
True.
into a Jolah. But let me see.
Kyle, would you check DMs?
Oh, I suppose I could.
Manuel Williams. There's a Republican, I think. Army veteran.
No, the Republican primary was canceled. Withdrawn or disqualified candidates. Emmanuel Williams. I think. Did he get disqualified? Why was he disqualified? I'm really
There's a Working Families Party candidate. I don't know if they're technically running or not.
One other thing I did want to cover is, Whick, tell us about your liberal alliance that you're building.
Oh, the LAN? Liberal Action Network. So first
Yes,
of all, I am not in any leadership position within the Liberal Action Network, just to make that clear. I was invited to participate in it, and I am a big fan of this network. I think that one of the problems that liberals have had is we've been on an island, isolated from one another, that we have been kind of doing our own thing for so long, and it's allowed us to become easy targets for the far left and the socialists and the Hassanites and etc. One of the things that you'll notice that the far left does extremely well is that they all know the assignment. Whenever someone criticizes one of them, they all back each other up. Like, they're all in the comments. All of them are quote tweeting. They're all shield walling up. Liberals have been bad at that. Liberal Action Network seeks to change this and allows us to work together, to coordinate a little bit better, and to make sure that we are promoting liberalism in a way that is going to protect our members and protect liberals, especially small content creators, from the sort of harassment that we've been receiving in a lot of ways. I think the tagline that they're using is together we are alone, we are easy targets, together we are not. And I agree. We do this together or not at all. And yeah, it's good. It's a good program. You should sign up, liberalaction.net.
Speaking of signing up, just asking for a friend, what are the minimum requirements for entry?
Be a liberal.
Sorry,
Be
James.
a liberal.
Sorry about your luck.
Be a liberal.
I identify
We don't
as a
allow
liberal.
the commie subversives. Okay, sorry.
Well, I'll figure out a way. I'll figure a way to justify my entrance. All right. Well, we've gotten down to the gristle here, and as much as I enjoy chewing the fat with y'all, we won't keep you much longer here. Why don't we just have some closing statements on the issue, starting with Whick?
Sure. I want America to be the best nation it can possibly be. I think MAGA is a cancer upon our dear beloved nation. But not just because of what they want, but how they operate. The tactics that MAGA uses have fundamentally changed, for the worse, discourse in American politics. It has destroyed trust in our institutions, and it has made governing much, much worse across the board. We do not want to adopt their tactics. We do not want to adopt their way of politicking, because these tools lead us in that same direction. And we might think that we can use the ring of power, right? Sauron's ring, to save the Democratic Party or to save our nation. But no, you cannot use evil to fight evil. The master's tools will never demolish the master's house. These are the tools of the enemy. We do not need them. We will not use them. We must be better. And that will actually give us more wins consistently than trying to adopt MAGA tactics. My name is Whick TV. You can find me at Whick TV on all platforms. I love you all, and thanks for inviting me.
Hey, thank you, Whick. And then we'll go to Mr. Mouton.
I disagree with Whick a little bit here. I think we are condemned to use the tools of our enemy to defeat them. I think we only need to use the tools against our actual enemies, not people in the left / other Democrats. I condemned Jolah a lot earlier about him lying in this, what I perceive as lying in a video or whatever. But I think Jolah and I probably agree on like 95% of issues. Jolah seems to have a good head on his shoulder, and I appreciate his insight into how we should message better as Democrats. I agree, and I hope that moderate Dems can start winning and messaging better to the average voter.
Based. And last but not least, Jolah, closing statements.
Yeah, I will say that a big issue with a lot of these liberal types, more like Whick, I think Mouton's a lot better on this, who are going to be very insular. And I mean, if you have a comment from Gillibrand referencing Mamdani in connection to referencing jihadism or referencing the Intifada, you obviously know how that comes away to viewers, and Democratic voters saw it that way as well, and that's why Gillibrand apologized and took back her statement and clarified the next day, and that's why Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, another moderate Democrat, also said that we don't need any more like rush conclusions about race or about ethnicity or about religion, because it did come off terribly. Yeah, and then also for the Haley Stevens thing, I think it's really funny. I think it's a TikTok format video. It's supposed to be funny. I don't think anybody came away from that video thinking that Barack Obama came out to endorse her Haley Stevens. The joke is that she obviously, the obvious point, I won't say joke so it doesn't offend you. The obvious point is that it was a mocking video. She said, "I'm working for Obama." And then she referenced, she gave the appearance that Barack Obama endorsed her, which, everybody on the ground in Michigan. And that was intentional by the campaign. It was very smart by the campaign as well. But denying that reality is insane. And trying to frame anybody as a liar is a good way to cut down from your political movement, especially your online political movements. Now, I'm not going to go hop in and defend Hassan, but for any like Destiny fans who are sick of just covering the far left every day, when he did not even cover the primaries, after Hassan was partying with the primary winners, then he covered the primaries. He had nothing to say about. He barely even knew who the candidates were. Then he was mad about the results. So for anybody who is going to be who's mad that he doesn't cover politics, make sure you watch our debate tomorrow, hosted by Whick, which I'm sure will be a very moderate and equal platform, unbiased. Whick will be very very unbiased in the conversation. On that. Very unbiased. No, but I do appreciate all of you. And yeah, definitely looking forward to continuing this.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. And hopefully to anybody watching, this was informative and useful for determining where you stand, or at the very least, supporting hopefully at least had a good time. We do have a couple people waiting in the waiting room for calls, but if anybody has to bounce, I totally understand.
I'm going to bounce because it's pretty late for me, and I wake up at like 6 a.m. So
I'll take one or two callers, but see you
one
later.
Or two is exactly how much we have.
Hey, thank you,
Mouton, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, I just had a 10-hour drive, so I got to go get some stuff done. But I appreciate it.
All right.
Don't worry.
All right.
I'll stay with you
Hold down the
your hosts, at least for 1 or 2 callers. Okay?
Liberalism's
As long as they're
strongest
not, like,
warrior
an hour
marches
calls
on.
each, right? I probably got a hard out in about 15 minutes. So
Fantastic.
All right, so to Ken and Shy Doomer, I think you will be our only 2 callers, and we're going to try to limit you to a little under 10 minutes so that Whick can adhere to his preferred schedule. I'm going to bring in Ken first. Ken,
Hey,
thank you
Ken.
so much for hanging out with us. Welcome to the Marketplace of Ideas.
Welcome, neighbor.
We've got Whick with us here. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm good. It was an interesting conversation. It's always good to have some healthy disagreement, I think.
Yeah, it can be really useful. Well, do you have a question for us, or any other comments that you wanted to make?
Yeah, I was just wondering if I could get Wick to own up to a bit of a lie he made. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he said that like Stevens was clearly like a better general election candidate based off the polling. But if you look at the actual polling, if you look at the New York Times, they have a list of general election polls. It's pretty ambiguous. Like the last credible poll was in January by Emerson College, which did show Stevens up doing better than El Sayed. But since then, there's been like so many different polls, and like some say El Sayed does better, and some say Stevens does better. So it's really inaccurate to say like she's clearly a better general election candidate based off the polling.
So I'll bring it up for you, but the latest 3 polls that I've seen, okay, the 3 latest polls that I've seen regarding the general election between Haley and El Sayed, there's a one where El Sayed is down by 5 points. Before I just guess, let me just bring them up. Hold on.
It's like yeah, he's down by 3, and Stevens is up by 2 in the latest.
Yeah, that's a
one.
5-point difference.
Yeah,
that's a substantive difference.
I would say
poll.
that if it was like a major pollster like Emerson or something, and even then it's like a one-off poll. It's like hard to say, like, you know, just based on that, or if it was like a bigger difference.
I'll say the same thing, man.
Stevens.
Why do you think that they changed it from lean D to toss up in the aggregates when El Sayed won?
Why?
Yeah,
I don't know. You have to look into the models. I mean, it's not really there hasn't been any like polling since then really to like say who's better. Like not enough to say really. That's my argument basically.
Okay. So
if you just have one poll where one candidate's up by 3 and others down by 2, that's not enough. Like if you look at the margin of error as well, I wouldn't be surprised if they're both within the margin of error of victory. Like usually these polls will have like plus like 3 margin of error.
Yeah, but you're just leaving out a poll, man.
I'm not leaving out a poll.
The one where
that's not leaving out a poll.
By 10. So yes, if you discount the one that obviously proves you wrong.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's one poll. There's also El Sayed up by 5 as well, and Stevens down by 1, and you know, or Stevens even. I mean, sorry, I'm just saying it's inaccurate to say any candidate is like a clear better general election candidate. That's not.
No, that's not true. Right? We see
you can use other arguments. You use other arguments
to
say
the average of polling, and we see that in the averages, El Sayed performed worse against Rogers than Stevens performed against Rogers. That's just a true statement.
In the polling average, that is true. That is a true statement.
So that is what the metric that I'm using to show that she's a better. Again, and that's the metric that the aggregate sites are using, by the way, too, to show that we have a better chance, or had a better chance electing Stevens. Can I finish? Stevens as a general election candidate than El Sayed as a general election candidate. Now, mind you, a lot of the polling was off when it comes to the primary specifically. Does that not worry you that perhaps the general election, that he's being pumped up in the general election too? If he was winning by plus 16, plus 20, plus 10 in the primary polls, but it turns out the actual total was only less than 1%, does it not worry or concern you that the polling right now shows him down by 2 to 5 points, or 2 to 3 points, and maybe they're overestimating him still.
Wait, sorry. What's your argument exactly? That you're saying that because the polling was off in the primary, that means that the polling could be down by 10 in the general. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the polling seems to have overestimated him in the primary. Are you not worried that it perhaps is overestimating him in the general as well?
Yeah, sure. I'd be worried about that, but I wouldn't say that you could extrapolate from a polling
You
miss in the
can't
primary
one-to-one.
to
They're
a polling
different
miss in the
electorates.
general. Yeah, exactly. That's
But,
what I would say.
however, when you have a clear bias in one direction because of the electorate that the polling places are choosing, it shows that they have a miss in that electorate, and
Mhm.
they are missing on behalf of El Said, intentionally or not. I can think it's perfectly reasonable to worry that they might be missing in the same direction on the general. And even with that being the case, right, he's still losing in the general. And that can change. I hope it does.
Yeah,
But
my problem is less.
just to address you real quick, to come in saying I was lying about that, are you going to apologize to me for calling me a liar?
No,
Clearly not.
because you're not understanding the point I'm making. The problem I have isn't saying that he's down in the average. That's just like an accurate statement. The problem is using that argument to say he's clearly a worse general election candidate when you need more polling than just like 3 weird polls and like half of them are a bit ambiguous to say which one's like a clearly better candidate. Like you need more than that just to say that. Like if Emerson was like in July or June, then yeah, you could say that, but it's not. And since there hasn't been any like really reputable polling, and there usually isn't, by the way, with general election polls before the actual nominees are there. I
think using polling is the traditional method that people use to determine whether or not someone's going to be strong in a general election or weak in a general election.
Yes,
and so to say that I need more, I don't think I do.
You need more polling. That's a problem. You can't say based off this evidence that
the
that
polling
she's
that
clearly
we
a better
have
candidate.
seems to suggest that he would be a worse candidate in the general, and I stand by that statement.
All right. Ken, if you could make your final thoughts on this issue before we wrap up this call. We are pressed
On the
for time,
polling,
so.
yeah, I would just say take polls with a grain of salt, like look at the margin of error. And I would say unless there's like a very clear trend in saying which candidate's better than the other in polling, don't just say like, oh, that's 3 polls, we're saying this candidate's better, and it's within the margin of error, by the way. That doesn't automatically mean that that's an all be all. You have to have like more data than that.
How many you need? You need 4 polls? 5? 6?
More than this. I'm not sure exactly how many, but like, I mean, if these were like 3 Emerson polls and it was like Stevens up by 5 and LSA down by 2 in all of them, then yeah. And if there's like some consistency, then yeah. But there isn't really consistency here. And you can pull it up on stream later. You can look through it and see what I'm talking about. But yeah.
All right. We're going to bring this call to a close. Ken, thank you so much for calling in. And Whick, we have a tradition here in the Marketplace of Ideas where we ask our guest to reward a certain amount of our fake currency grift coin, depending on how you felt they were as a caller. And you can use whatever metric you want.
Bro called me a liar.
I was
going
going to say
showcase that I wasn't lying. He gets nothing. He gets nothing from me.
Nothing.
I'm afraid that is going to stand, Ken, but we still really appreciate you calling in and hanging with us for a few minutes.
If you want grift coin, you'll have to watch next week. I'm sorry.
All right.
You'll have to call it again.
All right. We appreciate you. Thank you, Ken.
See ya.
Thank you.
All right. And then the Shy Doomer has been waiting patiently, so we're going to bring in the Shy Doomer.
Hey, neighbor.
Shy Doomer.
Welcome to the Marketplace of Ideas. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How are you?
Great.
Doing all right. Good to have you back. What do you have for us tonight? You have a question for Whick?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you believe that right now we are in like a rise of like an authoritarian movement, or at least at most a fascist movement from the right?
I think we're in the rise of a authoritarian populist movement across the board.
Okay. Do you think that movement is bad and harmful?
Yes.
Okay. So whenever you're saying the DSA wants to make the Democrats exactly like the MAGA movement, can you explain that a little bit for me?
Sure. I feel that socialism and what the DSA has advocated for will lead to authoritarianism. I think that it is authoritarian by nature to want to dissolve things like the Senate and other checks on mob rule, right? Populism in itself tends towards authoritarianism, and they are absolutely riding this populist wave. I think that while MAGA is more dangerous now because they hold power, if the socialists were to gain the same power that MAGA has, they would be dangerous to the same degree in different ways. I think that it's a problem, and we have to recognize that authoritarianism is bad, even if it's for things that we like, right?
So you're saying that the people advocating for policies of like, let's defund the military industrial complex and put that money back into the people's hands, healthcare for all, higher wages, those kind of things, the things that the candidates are actually advocating for and running on. If they get enough people in power, we're going to see like military roaming the streets, healthcare, like the head of healthcare completely destroying everything. The safety nets that people rely on that are impoverished to survive, like food stamps and health, like state healthcare. Wars over in other countries. I could go on. We all know everything that the Trump administration and all of his yes men are doing. So you're saying like the people that are running on those kind of policies, if enough of them on power, it's going to be as bad as what we're seeing right now and as bad as what MAGA wants to happen.
Bad in different ways, but yes, I'll give you a couple examples. One of the things that the DSA has traditionally advocated for is to pull out of.
I don't mind that. Not the DSA.
Can I answer your question?
The people running, because like the DSA isn't like running, right? And no one's running on the policies that you're about to talk about. I hear this a lot from centrists.
Hold on, right? Like if you were a member of the DSA, which Hong is, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Is it not decently normal to suggest that she shares most, if not all, most of the policies that the DSA stands for on their national platform?
There's actually a lot of diversity in fighting in the left and in DSA.
If
do you,
DSA
like I said,
votes
like
on the national
the
platform,
socialists,
these are
like
our
Bernie
policies.
Sanders, they're like Bernie Sanders types running.
Would you
right
ever
now.
believe this for someone on MAGA's side? Someone from MAGA says, you know what? I'm MAGA, but I don't agree with a lot of what Trump says. Would you give them this grace?
Would I give the grace to someone?
Yeah, would you give them the same grace that you're doing here?
No,
like
because
saying,
they run on the
well,
policies of
he doesn't
MAGA.
agree with all the policies, so it's okay.
No, because they do run on the policies of MAGA. I'm looking at the policies.
Okay. Do you remember when we were all crying about Project 2025 and saying Trump is going to run on these policies? It's really, really bad. We shouldn't elect him because it's really, really bad. And Trump was like, I've never heard of Project 2025. Of course I'm not going to run on these things, right? He said the exact same things, right?
No,
because
the
he's a
DSA
liar.
people aren't saying the same exact things, though.
They are.
They're not like.
I'm saying that these people
they're
are
not surrounding
lying.
them. They're not lying, though.
Why
Like
would you ever believe that? We have Hong. We have tweets from her saying she hates
I don't like her.
Thanksgiving, and then she went on a show an interview show and said, "Actually, Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday now." No, she's fucking lying.
Yeah, I don't really like Thanksgiving. Am I now like a terrorist that hates the country?
Did you lie about it? And that isn't
actually
all
no. I think I do like. I like the
said.
turkey, so actually no. I think
if
I do
you
like
are advocating for the destruction of the U.S. military, you are helping Putin and you are helping Xi Jinping, right?
Do you understand the context behind that though? Like when they say they want to destroy the West.
Behind it, the context. Let's give it
the
context.
the military-industrial complex, the white supremacy, all those things that are unique to West, the finger quote Western civilization, which is a right-wing dog whistle in itself. Quoted,
Western civilization is not a right-wing dog whistle.
It's often used that way.
Literally
It's often used
coined.
that
It was
way.
literally coined by the shock jock. Who's the guy that's like, not the shock jock. He's the Craig Uger. He's the one who coined that.
The term Western civilization?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, yeah.
I remember reading books that talked about the Western civilization that were written in the fucking 60s and 50s.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that they coined it, but it could be that they are the first one to sort of abuse
Popularize it, I guess.
Or they reappropriated it.
As a tool of far right. I see some truth in that it's used that way, certainly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Western civilization is just good.
Well, yeah, when you say that, I know what you mean by it.
The highest, like low life expectancy, extreme poverty. Like, well, what are we talking about? Like
the Western civilization. When we talk about, I'm talking about America, Canada, most of Western Europe. These countries are the wealthiest in the world, the most powerful in the world. It has the highest standard of living in the world, better than China, better than Russia, better than any other of the so quote unquote global South, whatever you want to call them.
How did they gain this wealth and power, bud?
Through having better policies that don't fucking rape and kill their own people.
Oh yeah, we rape and kill other people. That's right. Yeah, we take their resources.
When someone in the American military commits rape, we put them in prison. When someone in Hamas commits rape, they celebrate them on the street.
There's an extreme...
That's the fucking difference.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Shy Doomer, if you could give us any closing thoughts you have on this matter. Wick does have a schedule to keep to, and I want to respect his time. So any closing thoughts, please?
A simple phrase comes to mind. Scratch a liberal. A fascist bleeds.
Stop scratching people.
That's a good point. You should.
I didn't mean to scratch you for wanting to give people health care. My bad, dude.
Do you think that? Hold on. Do you think that's why I am upset with you, because you just want health care? Ooh, small bean. I'm mad at you because you're dishonest in your framing of these things. That if the only criticism we have of people like Hong is because they want health care, Democrats want health care too. What we don't want is to abolish the police and not deport rapists and murderers. That's what we don't want.
Established Democrats do not want those things. Established Democrats are paid opposition.
Why do you say this? The establishment Democrats got us some of the best healthcare systems we have in the Affordable Care Act, which improved healthcare in America by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, they do Band-Aids. They're paid opposition. They give little Band-Aids as more and more wealth goes to the top. Yeah, they ease the pain.
I don't care if if wealth goes to the top, as long as I'm getting my needs met.
That the wealth gap is higher than like the feudal era, or like
envy isn't a good look.
It's not envy. It's literally
envy.
Hurting people.
Everyone is getting richer. I'm getting richer.
I'm not getting richer.
You're getting richer. You are. I promise you that the average American today is richer than the average American was 50 years ago.
I promise you the cost of food alone is making things a little bit more tighter.
I mean, we're kind of talking about two different things. Like over a scale of time, generation to generation, Americans are doing far better than they used to. It's hard to get a sense of that when you're in the moment. You're having trouble affording food, but it would still be easier to get food now as a poor person than it would have been several generations ago. Would you agree with that, Shy Doomer?
No, they cut the food stamps.
Okay,
I got removed off of food stamps.
Well,
what do you mean?
You're right, but I mean, like, okay, we're a little bit over time. I'm sure we could keep going, but for the sake of sleep schedules, I want to cut us off here a little early. I know, but it's for the best. That being said, Wick, despite the contention, is there any amount of grift coin?
No, zero.
Zero to
zero.
Sorry, Shy Doomer.
Yep. He rather be mad at the left and mimic the right wing talking points than actually unite in a time
the
of
right wing
peril.
talking points like America good actually, and Ukraine based actually. The
As it
right wing
is
talking
now,
points.
and
Ooh,
it could be a lot
scary,
better.
scary right wing talking points wanting to be a strong Pax Americana that protects its people. Scary stuff wanting to destroy terrorists. Ooh,
All right, calm
right
down,
wing
Jim
talking
boy.
points. You
Calm
see how
down.
annoying that is? You see how annoying that is when I don't honestly engage with your points and I just say, "Oh, I just want free healthcare," and you're mad at me for free healthcare. You understand
No, that's
how that's
literally what
fucking
I advocate
stupid?
for, and the policies that I support these elections because of. I like their policies.
Alrighty. Well, Shy Doomer,
Bye.
unfortunately, no grift coin tonight, but we appreciate you calling in. We hope to hear from you in the future. We thank you so much.
Adios, amigos.
All right.
Later,
Have
buddy.
a good night.
Wow,
And-
cultural appropriation. Okay, using Spanish when that guy was not Spanish. Okay.
It was yeah. She does not appear to be Hispanic.
Oh, she
and-
is it a she? I'm not sure.
She is a she. Yes.
She. Fair enough.
Indeed. With that said, unfortunately, no grift coin awarded to our caller snipe, but hopefully next time, Whick, thank you so much for sticking around with us for a little bit and letting us ride your coattails for just a few minutes longer. we hope to have you back at some point in the future, and it was I had fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, neighbor. And
all right.
And thanks for watching, everyone. Wasn't quite the show we intended, but I think we got a little bit closer towards saving the world's problems. And hopefully next time we'll get even closer, but not too close. We got to edge our way there. Anyways, thanks for watching the Marketplace of Ideas. Take care, everybody. Waving.